Do you realize that Mother's Day is less?
Here we go now. Here we go now.
Do you realize that Mother's Day is less than a month away? Have you even thought about what you're going to get your mother? Well, we are partnering yet again with our friends over at Rose Forever, roses that will last you at least a year. I've partnered with them multiple times and I have so many of their roses. I've even given them away as gifts. And the last time that we partnered with Rose Forever, it was during Valentine's Day. And look at these roses. And they still have their wonderful rosy scent. But shout out to our friends at Rose Forever. They don't just have roses anymore. They have candles. They have even things for the brides. Because some of you are getting married this spring. Just saying. They also have hydrangeas. There's all kinds of new assortments. You can see behind me, I have some roses. If you were here in my apartment, if you are a friend of mine, I've gifted Rose Forever to you guys. And some of you have had your roses for more than a year. But Rose Forever promises that for at least a year, you will have high quality, wonderful smelling, beautiful roses in your home. And please understand, this is a flower arrangement that your mother will love. Your mother will always look down and say, oh, my child got that for me, or my coworker got that for me, or my favorite nephew got that for me, or my favorite niece got that for me, or my favorite goddaughter or godson. Yup. Roses work for anyone. I can't tell you how I feel walking into my home and I have a Rose Forever bouquet at my front door or somewhere in my home, on my kitchen island, or here in the studio. Because the studio can be just a workspace, but as you can see, it can liven up any workspace, any room in your home, including your bathroom. So even if you're not looking for something for Mother's Day, or maybe you want to get a Mother's Day gift for yourself, of course, get Rose Forever. As always, more information on Rose Forever and our link will be available in the description. Thanks, Rose Forever. And welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. We are streaming live both here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and of course here on TikTok. So shout out to all of you that are watching. Don't forget, you can get a discount of $20 off with our discount code at roseforever.com, Kempire20 MD. The MD is for Mother's Day. It's less than a week away, but they have very fast shipping. So again, more information on Rose Forever will be available in the description. Guys, this is our weekly recap of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Almost forgot. Almost forgot. Okay. If you had to rate this week's episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta from 1 to 10, how would you rate it? And how do you feel about what played out in this week's episode? I have my Juneteenth Kempire. I don't think you can get this on House of Kempire right now. So for those that got it when it was Juneteenth, you should have gotten it then, because we're gonna work on some new merch. Look, Juneteenth, okay. Look, wait. Look, Juneteenth, okay. I followed the assignment, unlike Portia. Unlike Portia, okay? Why would Portia, especially because it's Juneteenth and your great grandfather, it was great grandfather, grandfather. Your legacy is about the movement and civil rights. You of all people should have came in dressed to the nine in celebration for Juneteenth, but you decided to come in hot pink. And I know what you're saying, and this is why she blocked you. Well, I don't want to be friends with people. Look, friends, we didn't even follow each other. I don't want to be around people that can't take the truth. Damn it. And you all predicted it last week when it came with Shamea, but I've been telling y'all about Shamea from the beginning. Yo, go check episode 1, okay? Go check episode 1. But a lot of you had opinions last week when it came to Shamea. Who knew that in the next episode that a lot of those predictions are true? And those lapdog accusations seem to be very true, Shamea. But okay, we shall see if Shamea changes course, especially with her relationship changing with Portia. I mean, look, all you have to do is go back to how many seasons ago when Shamea and Portia's friendship was here on the show. No, it's not. We're how many years later, and it's the same thing with Shamea. There is a thing of being too loyal to someone, especially when your own integrity is in question. That's where being loyal to someone ends for me. When your own integrity is looked at like, girl, I know that's your girlfriend, but do you not hold your girlfriends accountable? You don't have to do it in front of us, but at no point, and you make excuses for it, and you're a whole married woman. It's only funny because that's exactly what Shamea was saying in the after show and in her conversation with Angela. It's only funny until Portia says she'll do that to your husband, Gerald. Just saying. Logan says not beating those sidekick allegations. Not even sidekick, lapdog allegations. That's what people have called her. It's one thing to be a sidekick. You could be a sidekick and still be a good friend. But it's sort of like you're a lapdog, meaning that you do whatever your boss tells you to do. Sidekicks can have a mind of their own. Helena says, I'm not buying it. She's faking like she really gives a crap about Portia. She is Candy's good friend. I don't know if I believe that. Again, this is not like this is the first time we've seen the relationship between Shamea and Portia. This is years of the same behavior between Shamea and Portia. This is years. So if it was just this first season, we were just being introduced to Shamea, then I'd probably be like, maybe she's just acting that way now. But no. But all right. Fine. I'm already skipping ahead. Again, if you're in our YouTube live chat, be sure to vote in our live chat poll to let us know how you would rate this week's episode of Atlanta. And I have to say, every week, the ratings still are in the 4 to 6, giving mid, which is not bad, but it's also not great. 52% of you right now with almost 700 votes are rating this week's episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta from 4 to 6. 36% of you are rating it between 7 and 10. All right. Speaking of this episode, let's first start off with the very beginning where Cynthia Bailey, because she went to sleep, because the chaperone always goes to sleep first. So Cynthia completely missed all of the drama that happened on this Nashville trip. The chaperone went to bed. See, this is why you're not a good chaperone, Cynthia. You're supposed to make sure that everyone goes to bed when you go to bed. No, but they went to party by the pool and they were twerking and, shaking and doing all these things, okay? And talking about sleeping with other people's husband and calling Angela a big bird. Portia, you are a terrible liar. Portia's telling us one thing in the scene and then telling us another thing in her confessionals. And they constantly conflict. And I'm being generous by saying constantly conflict. She's lying. 1 minute, she doesn't remember saying, I should F Charles. She didn't remember. She said, blame it on the Henny. Girl, you remembered. 1 minute, she didn't remember that she had called Angela Big Bird. They were making fun of how Angela speaks. Let me tell you something. Look, we're just getting to know Angela. I'm not going to jump on the train because all of y'all were on the Shamea train in episode 1. Shamea is the glue. Shamea is the it girl. But what I've seen over 9 episodes now of Angela, I'm like, okay, I'm liking the vibe, Angela. I can see how Angela could have fit in yesteryear of Real Housewives of Atlanta. But I still don't know you yet. But that's a Taurus in me. Tauruses don't jump on bandwagons. Tauruses don't, immediately warm up to people. It takes us some time, which can be off-putting to some people. Okay? Someone says, Kempire, Portia's just a liar.
Lies! The lie!
I mean, this is not our first season of getting to know Portia. Go look at the years of Portia. But the same can be said about Phaedra. It is about to be a lie off this season because there's so many liars on this season of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Who is telling the truth? Even Shamea is lying. Let me see. Who is telling the truth this season? Let me look at this cast. Let me look at the cast again, y'all. Who's telling the truth? Even Angela has an interesting relationship with the truth too. So I can't even say Angela. Kelly, I don't know if I believe Kelly either with some of the things that Kelly's spending up a storm, talking about she wants to open up a new chicken and waffles. I'm not sure about that either because she's getting sued for not paying rent on one of those places that she was trying to rent. Brit, we know, is lying. Damn, all of them are some of them are worse than others, but damn, everybody on here is a liar in some shape or form. Wow. I don't trust either one of them. But the least liars, I will say, are Kelly, Angela, and Shamea are probably the least liars. And I would even give it to Brit. Least. Like Brit's like right behind. Like she's almost there with them because we caught her in a bunch of lies this season too. Okay. Miss Melon Magic says Cynthia's a liar too, but Cynthia's not a full-time housewife. Okay. Is Cynthia did Cynthia lie about anything so far this season? Someone said the lying wives. Sally says the lying wives of Atlanta. That's what it's giving. It's definitely giving that. All right, let me focus. So Cynthia, being the chaperone, was asleep. So after the trip, Cynthia, what happened to you the next day? Were you not asking questions? Because we get in this first scene or scenes of Cynthia going to everyone and getting the story. Like what happened during the trip? Did Cynthia leave? Like what happened, Cynthia? How did you miss all of that? So Cynthia is asking all the questions because she had went to bed and she had a conversation with Angela, and Angela's telling her that I heard voices. Because remember, Angela's bedroom was right by the pool. I don't think that Angela was eavesdropping. A lot of them were saying that, Angela was eavesdropping and she was trying to listen in on their conversation. I'm pretty sure we saw the video footage. Those women weren't whispering. They were screaming. I think Portia, being a little ditzy, I think she forgot that Angela's room was right there. And I think they were just all like laughing and talking. And they're also drunk probably. And that was part of the reason why. I don't think that Angela had to eavesdrop. Her bedroom was right there. They were right by the pool. It wasn't like this huge estate. Her bedroom was right there. She didn't have to eavesdrop. And Angela came right down and confronted them when she heard her name and talking about her husband. And that's what people forget about Tauruses. People take our demureness, our quiet sometimes. They take that as us being punks. I told y'all I was very quiet in high school. But there was this one time I was at the board. It was math class. I remember the guy's name. What was his name? I may not say his name but we're fine today. Like it wasn't any beef. Let me tell y'all something. Exactly. AAGW says Kelly's mouth is surround sound. Because Kelly's never quiet. Here's the thing about us Tauruses though. We might be quiet, but if I'm at the board solving a problem and y'all talking about me, they weren't ready for when I turned around. I was like, yeah, if y'all got something to say to me, y'all could say it to my face. Only black boy in the honors classes in this majority white school. Quiet kid. Very quiet in school. I know you don't believe it, but I was very quiet in school. All right. So they thought because I'm at the board and they probably used the N-word too. I didn't hear it that time. I can tell you that story at a later date. That was another time at this all-white school. First time I ever heard someone call me the N-word. Say he didn't want an N-word to touch his yearbook. I can laugh about it now. All right, I think there's a video here on my YouTube channel where I talk about it from years ago. Anyway, so I was in the math class. Why is this about me? I was in the math class. I was writing on the board. I was solving a problem. Okay, I remember it was math class. I was solving a problem, and this boy said something. I don't know what he said. They were whispering. I was like, they lucky I didn't go talk real slick, because I could have been like, oh, what? Are you checking out my butt? What you got to say? No, but I turned around and I said this. I said, if you got something to say to me, say it to my face, not my back. And they were real quiet. And if they ever see this, they remember, because that was the one time they were like, oh, yeah, don't take Taurus's quiet for weakness, okay? And you're seeing that with Angela right now. You're seeing that with Angela, okay? See, I brought it back around, so let me move on. All right, I'll tell it in my next story, okay? They didn't mess with me anymore after that, though, right? They weren't ready for that. They were like, oh, the black boy ain't gonna say nothing. They're lucky I didn't say it in patois. Then they really would have been like, what he say? So Angela updates Cynthia on what was said. And that's where Angela brings up they were making fun of the way I talk, making fun of the way I dress. Mind you, Shamea talked about this in the after show. Just like, yeah, we were laughing and talking and kikiing and I know I said something about like I never heard of Angela. I've heard of Charles Oakley, but I never heard of Angela. Shamea, girl. Here's the thing, Shamea. First of all, and she was like, I never heard of it. She had the nerve in this after show, okay? In this after show to be like, oh, yeah, I was just talking about how she dresses and things. I was like, wait, this Shamea is talking about how somebody dresses? Please hold. This Shamea is talking about how somebody dresses? This one? The same Shamea that showed up at the surrogate's office with those big earrings? That Shamea is talking about how Angela dresses? I don't see people talking about how Angela looks during the season and the looks that she's giving. They're talking about you. And see, that's your karma. Because you sitting there hemmed up talking about how Angela speaks and dresses, and you looking like that. Like Elvis. And then she's like, I never heard of Angela. I've heard of Charles Oakley, but I'd never heard of Angela. Girl, we only heard about you since being on Real Housewives of Atlanta. You had to tell us that, oh, you were in a group with Carrie Hilson and we ain't never heard of that. We ain't never heard of you in that group. Okay? But I ain't never heard of her. Yeah, because Angela didn't. First of all, Carlos King said that they've been trying to get Angela on the show since season 2? I think he said. So Angela could have been on this show. They've been trying to get her on the show for a very long time. So that's why you ain't heard of her. She plays her position. Okay? Being banned by FINRA. Okay, playing. Everyone can get that. Everyone can get. I'm playing Angela. I'm playing. All right. But what she said, we were talking about how she dresses kind of funny and da-da-da. And I'm like, girl, you talking about how somebody dresses? Girl, I'm so glad that you hooked up with our Jamaican gal, Chanel, because she gonna help you. She gonna help you get those fashions together because you have the nerve to talk about how Angela dresses. Ain't nobody been talking about how Angela dresses this season. They've been talking about you. Okay? Exactly. Mia Moore says, a label doesn't mean you can dress because you can. Because I don't know if you guys saw the after show when they were talking about the fashions and she's like, I'm wearing Alaya. That's when you could tell someone's new money. And I know some of you say, oh, well, no, she has money, but you can't tell. You can't tell that Shamea has money or had money growing up. She's like, this is Alaya. It's Alaya season. It's Alaya season on here. Like, girl, stop. All right. Anyways. This week with this whole Shamea stuff, I'm like, damn, we were just talking about Shamea. All the callers were coming for Shamea last week. And I was like, here we go. Here we go. Now y'all want to wake up and see it. Y'all were calling her the glue in episode 1. All right. So anyway, so Angela is updating Cynthia. Portia's updating Cynthia, and Brit heard that, according to what was being said at the pool that night, Brit said that she had heard that Charles had some sort of outside baby on Angela. But again, we've talked about that. Recently, Angela did an interview on the radio and says, no, that conversation that she had with Wendy mixed it up. It wasn't Charles who had the baby on her. It was her oldest daughter's father had a baby on her. We talked about it. We did a separate video talking about it. If you missed it, you can check that video out. So she did clear it up. I'm sure they'll talk more about it during the reunion. Okay, we shall see. All right. All right. So moving on, because I don't know if we know the ages of the kids, but yeah, we shall see. We'll see. We'll revisit that situation with Charles. Okay. So apparently, Brit said that Shamea must have said that she had heard, or they were all talking, saying that, oh, we hear that Charles has a woman in New York City. Remember, he used to play ball here in New York City. So my antennas went up a little bit. I mean, he is a former, NBA star. So I was like, And then seeing his personality, I'm like, I wouldn't be shocked. I know I asked this last week and I can't remember. What is Charles's astrological sign? What's his astrological sign? I forgot. Is it a Libra? I don't remember what we said. Oh, damn, Tina Bean. Tina Bean says, pipe down, Shamea. I've seen nicer clothes on Fashion Nova. Damn. Lana says, I don't believe Angela. I mean, unless Angela's able to prove it and bring receipts and say, Charles Jr. is this age. You know what I mean? Like, okay. All right. So this is where they tell Cynthia that Portia said, I should F Charles. Portia claims that she doesn't remember saying that. But Portia says that she would never F someone's husband.
Lies! The lie!
Oh, he's a Sagittarius? Damn. Angela, you got yourself with a Sagittarius. I know he wrecks your nerves. And that's not saying anything to Sagittarius. I know I love y'all Sagittariuses, okay? But I said I don't think that would be a good match for a Taurus. But maybe it is. Keeps her on her toes, all right? Oh, damn. Elizabeth says, them Sages are real shifty when they travel. Ooh. Did y'all notice when Charles said that he was in Tampa? I said, what in the Ralph? What he doing in Tampa? Like, no one can ever go to... a single heterosexual man cannot go... Not single. A married heterosexual man cannot go to Tampa anymore because of Ralph. Did y'all notice what he said? I was in Tampa when they were in Nashville and she called him. He was in Tampa. I said, what he doing in Tampa? Is he with Ralph? Maybe he's there for work. I don't know. All right. So Portia claims that she would never F someone's husband. Portia, but you did. And look, semantics. I know people are going to say, well, she was screwing the pool boy. Now, if Angela brings Fallon on this damn show, I'm surprised she didn't. She seems messy enough. But that would have been interesting if she did, though, right? Now, if Kenya was there, I know Kenya and Portia are in a good place during this season, but if Kenya was there, she was like, you should bring, I wouldn't be surprised if Kenya would have told Angie, maybe you should bring Fallon. I know Fallon. I can link it up. But here's the thing. Fallon and Simon were still married when Portia and Simon announced their relationship. Yes, he announced that he was getting a divorce, but they were still married. She says, I wouldn't screw a married man, but you did, technically. I know it's a technicality. It's a technicality, but you did, all right? And word on the street, it's not the first time. You remember what Claudia Jordan said years ago? So it's not the first time. It's not even the second time that technically you did. Technically you did. All right. Brooklyn says Fallon would be a trip. And she would do it. You know Fallon would show up. All right. But that was a rumor. Canadian POV says, isn't Fallon Brit's cousin? That was a rumor. I heard that it's not true, that Fallon and Brit are not related. Okay. Mr. Mellenbach just says, Fallon can stay over there in the shrubs of Atlanta. Not the shrubs of Atlanta. All right. So Shamea then shares a text message with what Angela sent to her. So apparently, I wish they would have shown the full text message so that we could have at least read through it ourselves. But the basic gist of it was that Angela was not happy with Shamea because Shamea is a married woman, Brit's a married woman, and no one checked Portia in that moment. Shamea shares parts of it where Angela says that this is a fake ass sisterhood. She says morals and value that their morals and values do not align with hers. I was like, this sounds so much like a Taurus right now. This sounds like a Taurus. All right. Wait a second. Diaries of a Black Girl on TikTok says, mind you, Portia was cheated on by her ex, right? Was she? Which one? Dennis? That was the rumor on the street that Dennis, I don't think it's a rumor. I think that's why they broke up. Okay. CM says R. Kelly was married too. And, oh yeah. Didn't Portia have a little thing with R. Kelly? When was that? Was that when he was still married to Andrea Kelly? Andrea Kelly? Andrea Kelly? Andrea? Yeah. I don't know. All right. But yeah, so we already caught you out there in Portia in multiple lies. Okay. She says that she would never do that. Shamea got that text message from Angela where she said, my morals and values do not align with y'all's. Okay. Yes. Portia talks about R. Kelly in her book. Okay. All right. Cha-Cha's birthday party. So Kelly, this is like Kelly's third or fourth event this season. Like she's a very festive person. I can appreciate it because she's coming in the first episode, birthday party for her daughter. Then she hosted, else did she host after the birthday party? She hosted something else. Oh my gosh, I can't remember what it was. It was something else she hosted, and then she hosted this Cha-Cha birthday party for her dog. That dog is so mangy looking. I'm sorry. I don't think her putting all those color and barrettes and things like that on the dog makes the dog look cute. When you see the original picture of the dog looks cuter without all that stuff. Right? Oh, the Balmain event. Thank you so much, TikTok. Yeah, she also had the Balmain event. So I can appreciate that she keeps hosting things. And she had the Peace Brunch. 4 events. She's had 4 events. I can appreciate the festivity of it all. But then when we think about the lawsuit and how much money she is being accused of owing, I'm like, girl, this is not going to age well for you. All these. But anyway, back to the dog. I'm sorry. This is like her kid. So I feel bad talking about the kid. But the kid is cute, but put in all that stuff. And she says she spent nearly, well, she said in the confessional $1,000, but in the after show, she says like in the upwards of $5,000 on this dog getting the nail. I don't think the dogs like this. I know the dogs may not act up when you do these things to them. I don't think the dogs like this. The dog does look mangy. You saw the old picture of the dog when the dog didn't have any of the dye and all the barrettes and the eyelashes. The dog looked cute. But she says the reason why she does that because the dog was stolen. Get the dog chipped. And you wouldn't have to worry about that. Get the dog chipped. Brit says I would have bitten her. You know what? Come on. All right. So at Cha-Cha's birthday party, so they have all the events. Okay. Other dogs are there. Mimosa's there. That's Brit's dog. Brit gives an update on what's going on with her family. Her mother's moving in with her. So she's getting rid of the family home. She gives an update on her sister. She's speaking back with her sister. What's her sister's name? Cher, right? So she talks about that. Here's the thing. I have a question. So Brit had the insurance company and she had her sisters working with her. I don't know if they were part owners. I don't know if they just worked with her. I think they just worked with her. And she says that when she got with Mike, that she sold the business. So did you give your sisters a piece of the business? Like, I'm trying to understand. I know she said her sisters ended up leaving the business, right? Or something like that. I can't remember now. But I'm trying to understand. So because Mike came in the picture, you decided to sell your business, or did that just happen that way? But okay, I guess I shouldn't really try and dissect anything that any of these people are saying because we know we're trying to dissect the truth when there is no truth there. So who knows? Vigilian says Brit, sisters, and mom need counseling. Yeah, I think they need grief counseling because it seems like their drama is centered around the losing of the father. All right. Yes. Thank you, Amit. I knew something happened there. She said she fired one, so the other left. And then she decided to sell the business. All right. Okay. Because I wasn't sure in this scene when she talked about selling the business. Okay. All right. And of course, what's going on with they were just catching up. I didn't care about the scene. Let's move on. Okay. And Britt says her two other sisters, Tiara and Cher, are still at odds. So remember, she had the conversation with Cher, and her and Cher are in a better place. I don't know how they could be in a better place because you remember how that conversation ended between Britt and her sister. And the big issue is the fact that Mike, she's always prioritizing Mike. And mind you, Mike is calling her phone off the hook while she's filming the scene with her sister. And she's like, I gotta go. Mike is calling me. And I'm just like, so you learned nothing from this conversation. Okay. Mia Moore says that she only had a license for 14 months when she sold her business. Something's fishy about that, but at the same time, I really just don't care enough to be invested in what's going on with that. Because she's no longer selling insurance. I guess she's selling that masterclass on how to sell insurance. All right. Okay. All right, moving on. Let me say thank you because we got a couple of super chats, guys. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the latest episode of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Don't forget you can hear an audio version of our live recaps and special episodes because over the weekend I did drop a special episode, our weekend update, where I talked about a bunch of different hot topics. So be sure to check that out. The audio does upload to YouTube as well because YouTube has the podcast version. Because some of you see that the audio is uploading. It's not different content. That is a part of the podcast that. When it streams to Spotify or Apple, there's also a YouTube component. So the audio from my podcast does end up coming here. Some of you like that here on YouTube. So that's who it's for. And again, that weekend update was podcast exclusive. You're not going to hear that anywhere besides the podcast version. So shout out to those. And mind you, the YouTube version usually comes out later than the actual Apple or Spotify. So be sure to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. And make sure you give us a 5-star review because reviews do matter. So thank you so much in advance for those that have already reviewed our Kempire podcast or will be reviewing it. So thank you. All right, Elizabeth, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Elizabeth says, call the show Portia and the Enablers because you got your mom and sister giggling about this stuff. Oh, we're going to talk about that in a second, Elizabeth. But we're not surprised by that. If you saw Portia's Family of Lies, every scene that we get with Portia and her family, it's just reminiscent of that. And I was like, I wasn't interested then, and I'm definitely not interested now. But okay. I'm trying to remember, like, what was her storylines back when, before Portia's Family of Lies? Like, what were we talking about then? Edward, thank you so much for being a member and thank you for the super chat. Edward says, my thing is, if you're going to talk crap about me, make sure I'm not close to where I can hear you. Love you, Kempire fam. Thank you so much, Edward. That's the thing. I think they were drunk and they forgot that Angela's room was right there. And I don't think that Angela was eavesdropping. I think they were being loud and belligerent. We already know Kelly's very loud. And I think that's what it was. They were talking about how she dresses. They were talking about how she talks. Again, I think they were being mean girls. But again, they weren't friends with her. Am I surprised? No. Roots to Tresses, thank you so much for the super chat. Roots says, Kemp, I love your reviews. You keep me laughing. Thank you so much, Roots. I appreciate that. Blue Skies says, Portia's trash. She's a liar and she's not sorry for what she said. She's sorry that she got caught. Based off her reaction, Portia doesn't seem remorseful. She does seem like, damn, I got caught. That's her response. Like a little kid that's got caught. Tamika says she was pregnant. Oh yeah, I'm just trying to remember, like, what was her like personal stories back then. Blue says, I told y'all she is the new cousin Faith. Brit can go as well. She really is the cousin Faith right now. Kendra, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Kendra says Shamea wanted to fight Marlo for saying that she wanted to screw her man, yet she acts like what Portia said wasn't foul. Trifling and bird behavior. Hurry up, Real Housewives of Miami. Happy early birthday, Kempire. Thank you. I keep forgetting, like, my birthday's less than a week away. Mother's Day birthday, for those that didn't know. Yeah, Mother's Day. Mama Allie, thank you so much for the super chat. Mama Allie says, in the second grade, a little girl called my best friend, an N-word, and I punched her in her face. I punched her in the face. My dad came to get me from school and took me for ice cream. Exactly. That's how you're an ally, Allie. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. Miss Esquire, thank you so much for the super chat and for being a member. Miss Esquire says, is anyone else so tired of men taking up too much of the conversation on RHOA? Nobody cares about these men. Are we talking about the scenes with Angela and Charles, and then the scene with Dennis and Portia? I feel like the scene with Angela and Charles made sense because his name, they called him. But the Dennis stuff, he didn't even know what the au pair was. It was like, did you not tell him why he was coming there? Why did it feel like she was just including him so she could film with him instead of Drew? That's what it was feeling like for me. Like, that was such a non-scene. But anyway, we'll get to that really quickly. I'm skimming over the stuff that doesn't matter, but I will mention for those that don't watch the episode and you only watch my recap. Know the Queen, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Know the Queen says, everyone was calling Shamea the glue because Portia was late. She went from big dog to lap dog real quick. I knew it though. I could have told y'all. Sin, thank you so much for the super chat. Sin says, Portia and Shamea are the same. The combo between Angela and Shamea proved it. We had callers in last week saying the same thing. And then Barry had reminded me that I reported that Shamea was the one who hooked Portia up with Simon. I got to go find that video so that I can, if y'all can find it for me, please send it to me so I know it's in one of these places on TikTok or somewhere. Keith, thank you so much for being a member for the super chat. Keith says, Brit is at dealerships looking at $500,000 cars, but couldn't buy her family home so it can stay in the family. Something in the bank account ain't clean. But here's the thing too. Sometimes they want to get rid of the family home because it has memories with the father dying there and things like that. So maybe that could be, all right, I'm giving grace, okay? I try to give grace. Maybe, sometimes people do not want to maintaining a house is a lot of work, okay? There's always something to fix. There's always something to improve. And some people just don't want to do that, especially as you get older. So I can understand the mom wanting to get rid of the house no matter what the kids want. The kids want but they're not willing to help you maintain the house, okay? Or pay the mortgage. Gemini, no LA girl, or NOLA girl, sorry. NOLA girl says, was it just me, or did the scene with Brit and her mom and sister seem rehearsed? It may have been editing, but it was weird. I had that feeling a little bit, but then I was like, okay, it's reality television. None of them are they're new to reality television, so it could be some of that too. But who knows? I feel like there's a lot of inauthenticity in reality television nowadays. Sin, thank you so much for another super chat. Sin says, do we realize how when Angela talks about married women on the after show, she doesn't include or mention Brit? Well, yeah. I guess she doesn't expect much from her because she called her a whore. Breezy, thank you so much for being a member and thank you for the super chat. Breezy says, didn't I tell you last week that P doesn't give real apologies? You did. Because even in the moment where Cynthia was trying to garner an apology between Angela, or garner some sort of truce between Angela and Portia, and Angela is always ready to apologize. And I said, I'm not sure if these apologies are genuine, but she's like, you know what? I apologize. And then Portia's like, ditto. But then she eventually apologizes. But do I believe her? I don't. I think she's just doing it to do it. Okay? All right. So speaking of Portia and the scene with her mother, all right? Portia brings in Pilar a puppy. Pilar was like, I don't want this damn puppy. That puppy was for Portia. Portia claims that she got Pilar the puppy because of everything that's going on with Simon. I don't believe that. Pilar looked like, and I don't even know if I believe Pilar said that she wanted to name the dog Peanut, because the minute she says, I want to name the dog, the camera changes and you don't see Pilar's mouth saying it. Peanut butter. I was like, wait, did they just add that later? I don't believe PJ wanted that dog. It was giving sort of like, okay, a doggy. Why are you bringing this a doggy? Because, in a kid, if they've been asking for a dog or asking for a pet, there's just a sheer excitement, like, oh my gosh, you got me the dog. Ah! She was sort of like, a dog. Fantastic. Cisco says Portia wanted a dog. That's the vibe it was giving. Yeah. Portia says in TikTok, not TikTok, in my YouTube chat says, PJ didn't look pleased. Yeah, it was giving like, I didn't ask for this dog, but I'll take it. I'll take the dog, but I didn't ask for a dog. That's the vibe that I was getting. Because again, if a kid has always wanted a dog and they said they wanted a dog, you bring home a puppy, they're gonna be like, oh my God, I got my puppy. She was sort of like, oh, I asked for a pony, but I got a dog. All right. Okay. Exactly. Gadget Girl says Pilar did not want a dog. AAGW says they rented a dog. Well, no. You see in Portia's YouTube videos, this dog is there. Key says she looked confused. She did. PJ's cousin Lauren's daughter was more excited, right? Damn, Allison, I'm not going to even repeat what you just posted in the chat. Oh, let me do it because for those that are listening to the audio version, I'm like, what did Allison say? Allison says pimps are not considered husbands. I think you're referencing Brit, that situation. I'm just giving context. I'm not saying it. I'm just what Allison said. Okay. Okay. All right. So in the scene with Portia, her mom, and Lauren and the kids, Portia says that she got a call that Dennis filmed with Drew. So Portia says that she felt betrayed, and that's why her energy changed because Drew was downstairs on this girls' trip. Okay. She says that she felt betrayed. Miss Diane says, "Oh, Dennis, I can't defend you anymore." She's more willing to defend Dennis than Shamea, who's been a friend to Portia for many years. And again, we don't know the dynamics of Portia and Shamea's relationship over the years or what Miss Diane has seen over the years. I just found it to be so interesting that she was more willing to defend Dennis than to defend Shamea. But okay. But again, I mean, that's the father of her grandchild. All right. All right. And then Portia says that she forgot that she had given Angela the room by the pool. So they start talking about what happened during the Nashville trip. Okay. And the things that happened with Angela. Portia says that she doesn't remember saying that she would sleep with Charles. Oh wait, I froze. Please hold. Oh, this damn thing. Oh. Please and hold. We're coming back. We're coming back. There we go. I'm glad I saw it. But anyway, so back to this. I'm going to have to change these wires. That must be it. All right. Logan said a lavender marriage. Y'all still talking about can we move on? I'm done talking. Like, they're not interesting enough for us to talk about Brit and what could be going on with Brit and her insurance license or what's going on in her marriage. They're not interesting enough for me to even be invested or to be funny or make a joke about that relationship. Like, I just don't care. And that's the worst. Like, even if people don't like you and they want to talk about you, then you could be like, okay, she has potential. No one even at least I don't care enough about Brit to want to talk about Brit or examine the marriage or whatever. I'm like, don't care. No. But anyway, so Portia claims that she says she doesn't remember. She kept on saying that. It's like, I don't remember saying that in her confessionals or when she was talking about it with other people. And then she's like, I might have said that. Portia was lying. Portia said it. Kelly confirmed that Portia said that she should F Charles. Okay? So she says in her confession, here we go, catching Portia in another lie. Portia, in her confessional, says she didn't call Angela Big Bird, but to her sister and her mom, she's just like, I called her Big Bird. So why are you lying in your confessional how many weeks later? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you just lie to lie? All right, fine. Just lie to lie. At least own it. I can understand maybe lying about the whole Charles part, but now you're lying about calling her Big Bird? And Angela at the Juneteenth party says, y'all gonna call me Big Bird? I'm gonna wear yellow. Angela, of all people, doesn't have a problem being a big, tall woman with a size 11 shoe. I don't know if it's size 11, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I like that about her. Like, she owns it. She's like, yeah, I'm a big woman. I'm a tall glass of water. Okay. She's been saying that since like episode 1. So she doesn't have a problem being a big woman. Okay, I like that. All right. Janice says Big Bird somewhere like, how the F I get in it? Big Bird's going to be like Miss Netta, just happy to be a part of the conversation. Okay, hold on. Since y'all brought up Miss Netta, hold on. Where's my Miss Netta thing? Did I get rid of it? Damn it. Oh no, here it is. Here it is.
Huh? I was mentioned on Housewives last night. Probably was, because Drew Sidora, me and Drew Sidora, we reach out. I didn't even look at that. But I might go check it out. Me and Drew Sidora.
Miss Netta. Miss Netta, stop. Miss Netta, stop. Okay. All right. I need to put that in like the sound machine over here. Okay. Guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video. We have over 3,000 of you here for our Real Housewives of Atlanta recap. Probably better than their ratings right now. Sorry. Let's get to 1,000 likes. I will be dropping the call-in link for members first. So if you're a member of the channel or you want to become a member of the channel, make sure you subscribe at teamkempire.com/join. Okay. Exactly. So Mellow probably was. And for me, I love that. I'm gonna keep that in there. Okay. So we can go back. All right. So, but here's the thing. Here's what I got from the scene with Portia, Lauren, and Miss Diane. And I said this on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter or Blue Sky or wherever it may be, I said this before. I feel as if no one in Portia's life, from the people that work with her, from Dennis, Dennis is just happy to feel like Portia's fighting over him with Drew. Dennis is just happy to be here and part of this conversation. I think Dennis still wants to, Dennis still wants to be with Portia. If Portia says, let's try again, he would do it. Okay? He likes the fact that Portia is seemingly fighting over him and fighting to film with him and now she's being nice and sweet to him now because of the threat of filming with Drew. And now she's pulled him into her confessionals. So he's just happy to be a part of the conversation because either way, he's like, I'm gonna sell this Drew album, and now I can flirt, and my baby's mother is kind of flirting with me. He's just happy to be a part of. Dennis is lame. All of these men on these reality shows that act like this, Peter Thomas, all of them are lame. Okay. Coco says Dennis loves the camera too. He does. And he's a liar. We've caught him in multiple lies. Even though I have to say, when they try to make it seem that he was lying, I was like, well, the cameras could have been there when he first arrived at the studio and Drew didn't tell him. So they try to catch him out there in that lie. But I was like, that doesn't really necessarily make him look like the liar. Because for all we know, those cameras could have been there when he got to the studio and he didn't know that they were going to be there. But anyway. But here's my issue. I feel like people in Portia's life never hold her accountable. She's surrounded by yes people, and she's okay with that. Portia is clearly okay with people saying yes. That's literally, as I'm watching the scene, I'm just sort of like, no one is holding her accountable. Well, Portia, should you have said something like that? Or no one. And I get it. Family's going to ride with family, and maybe they're not going to call her out on television. But I feel like they never call her out, and that's why Portia does what she does and continues to do what she does. Okay. And again, I just got flashbacks of watching Portia's Family of Lies. I was like, oh, here we go again. That's the vibe it gives. And I have to say, for those that watch the episode, you could fast forward through those scenes. It's not offering entertainment. It's not funny. It's not fun. There's nothing from those personal scenes with Portia and her family that's like engaging. I don't care. Almost like Brit. I don't even care. Again, she's giving friend of vibes. Like, oh, we don't need these scenes. They're giving her these scenes because she's getting paid as a full-time housewife, but she's giving friend of vibes. I don't care about what's going on at her home. It's giving Sheree eating chips at her kitchen island. Don't care. That's me though. Some people don't mind these scenes with Miss Diane, Lauren, and Portia. I don't honestly care. Especially after watching, I'm like, who cares? All right. So Shamea goes to meet with Shadina, who was the surrogate for Shiloh. All right. Shamea gives us a quick update on Shiloh. Shiloh is able to put the pacifier in her own mouth. But as you know, Shamea wants to be able to have another kid. Shamea talked about this a couple of episodes ago about being pregnant and then losing the baby. So now she's going back on the surrogacy journey. Here's the thing: when you get a surrogate, you never expect what happened with Shiloh to happen. And they talked about this before. So now she's about to do the surrogacy journey again, and they found a surrogate. We get to meet the surrogate. They FaceTime with Gerald so Gerald could say hello to the surrogate. So they're about to start this process of having another baby. I'm happy for Shamea. Fantastic. You want to expand your family? Wonderful. And honestly, after what she went through with Shiloh, I'm sure she wants to just have a healthy baby, a healthy experience. We talked about this when Bozema talked about this on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. People were like, I don't understand why she would want to have another baby. But when she explained, she was so fearful with her last pregnancy. She lost the previous pregnancy. I could understand, if I want to rationalize this, that she wants to have a pregnancy where she can enjoy it. So I kind of get that feeling from Shamea. That's what she wants. She wants to expand her family, and she wants to be able to enjoy that experience. Fine. What I don't, this is where Shamea can be cringy. She was like, and on 3, we'll say pregnancy, hands in. And on 3, we say pregnancy. I was like, so, I mean, I don't know what's more cringy, the earrings or the chant. 1, 2, 3, pregnancy. Like, that was corny. Like, I'm wishing you the best. I'm wishing you a healthy pregnancy. Like, that's fantastic. But I was sort of like, and she was like, on 3. I think they both were like, okay, yes, wow. Pregnancy. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, let's move on. So Angela and Charles are working out. You know what I can appreciate? That Charles, he's no longer he's an NBA legend, but he's no longer playing basketball, but he still takes his fitness seriously, okay? He's got to be fit for those other women that he got here in New York. I'm kidding. Come on. All right. And for those that are listening to the podcast version, sometimes it might be worth it for you to watch the video version, because sometimes the silence is a facial reaction. Okay. All right. So Angela and Charles are working out, and Angela says that he still works out every day, and he's always pushing her to work out, and we see them doing this workout. So they stop. Charles, she mentions when she FaceTime with Charles, or she called Charles while she was in Nashville, he says, oh yeah, while I was in Tampa. Tampa? How'd Tampa get in this? Okay, he was in Tampa. All right. Charles, and I said this before last week, I've said this on Twitter, Tauruses do not want yes people in our lives. Unlike Portia, we don't want yes people. At some point we need you to support us though, because we're not going to always ask for support. However, I can appreciate this relationship with Angela and Charles because he's going to tell her what the haters are going to say. Okay. And I have to agree with him. He's like, why would you invite Drew on someone else's birthday trip? I mean, I don't think anyone's arguing that point. I've said this before. That was production. This is a group trip. It's the first group trip of season 16. They wanted Drew to be there. Okay. But they have to play this out as a part of the story. Okay. So he's like, why would you do that? Then she talks more about, I was like, oh, she's like, okay, oh, you still on the Portia train? Let me tell you what else was said. So Charles didn't agree about the inviting of Drew. So Angela explains how the convo started with Brit speaking for Portia. And Charles is just like, what, Portia can't defend herself? Portia's got a big mouth. She can't speak up for herself. Because when they flash back, you see Brit being the mouthpiece for Portia, because Portia at the table didn't want to speak. Remember, Portia was all dark and just mad. So Angela brought up that Portia talking about women's husbands or something like that. I forgot what brought up. Yeah, talking about women's husbands. Then she said that Portia, Brit, and Kelly and Shamea claimed that Charles has a woman in New York City, that he's seeing some woman in New York City. Angela says that Portia claimed that she could screw anybody, like including Charles. And Charles was like, what? And then she's like, Angela said she went down to the pool and confronted Portia because she heard them talking about her and she heard them talking about her husband. So she went down there to confront them. And then when you see the surveillance video, the footage, you see Portia immediately when Angela confronts them. Portia's just sort of like, she wraps herself up and she walks away. See, that's the thing, Portia. You got all this mouth, but you're not willing to sit there and confront somebody in their face. So she wraps up and she leaves the situation. Lavender says that I'm having a hard time liking Charles. Understandable. Completely understandable. He seems like a personality. You either hate him or love him. Okay. It's giving the Todd father from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Kind of like that. I don't definitely get because the Todd father even has like a soft spot. I haven't got a soft spot from Charles yet. So maybe not the same. Let me see what you guys are saying. Coco Vibration says Angela's the only one anchoring. She's able to show layers and personality. Candy would have been a good addition to hold more people accountable and layers to their stories. Well, both are Tauruses, so that might be what you're seeing in both personalities. Okay. Isis says, I'm going to give you the scenario that Miss Diane did to Shamea and is what a lot of black women go through in colorless. She's willing to accept the fault and flaws of dark hue of a man when it comes to, I didn't see the rest of your comment here, Isis, but I think I understand what you're trying to say. Elise says that Charles was being objective. I don't feel like he checked her. He said that he wanted front row tickets to the show. He encouraged his wife to check the host. Well, yeah, because especially when they start talking about him. When they're talking about him, he's more than willing for Angela to speak up for him. AAGW, yes, Taurus. Are you new here? Obviously not. You're a member. I'm going to bring it up. If you don't like that, you don't have to be here. This is a review. My opinion. Okay? This is not CNN, where CNN's not going to talk about astrological signs. We talk about astrological signs. You can either engage in the conversation or not engage in the conversation. Okay. All right. Moving on. So she mentions what Portia had to say. So she's like, "Are you still rooting for Portia now?" And what they had to say about you. But all right. Speaking of Portia, so Portia and Dennis. Here comes another scene that I just did not care about. So we meet Portia. Portia's getting an au pair for PJ. So she invites Dennis so she can film with Dennis, and this is where we get a confessional with Dennis. But we knew that this was happening because Portia posted this on her social media. Bring your baby's father to work day. So he sits down for a confessional, and he's just like, "So what's the au pair supposed to be doing?" So you invited him to meet the au pair, but you didn't tell him what she was there to do. So that it feels like she just brought him there because she wanted to have a storyline. She's not a friend of the show, even though that's the vibe she's giving. So she's including him in the confessionals. She's giving, she's bringing him to these scenes. She's trying to have some relevance. She's trying to have a storyline. Okay. So Dennis is in the confessional. She explains to Dennis what an au pair is. Portia says that she's decided to move on from the whole Dennis and Drew of it all, since Dennis is a house husband and he's backdooring Housewives. And she's just like, I don't mean backdooring Housewives. And it's just like, we're going to move on. Okay. Dennis claims that Drew is not signed to him anymore. He also claims that he wasn't filming, that when he showed up to the studio that the cameras were there, and then they show the footage of when he's already in the studio, he's with the producer, and then Drew arrives later. Again, for me, it felt like production was trying to make it seem like Dennis was lying, which he could have been. Do I think that Dennis is telling the truth? No, I think Dennis knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted to use the show to promote this project. He wanted to promote himself, his business, his music business that he's in now. So I feel like he was using the show. Okay. And the show tried to make it seem like, oh, that scene proves that Dennis was lying. I don't know if it proves that, because he could have showed up to the studio and the cameras were there and he was fine. He was like, fine, I'll promote it. He says that Drew's no longer assigned to him. So what was that about? That didn't make any sense. Okay. Then Portia says that, well, did you text me that Drew tried to sleep with you? And then she reads the text message and he's like, you're misinterpreting what is being said in that text. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, what is Portia trying to do here? What is Dennis? Like, it made no sense to me. Drew's not signed to Dennis anymore. Drew tried to sleep with Dennis. I'm like, it's not making sense to me what exactly they were trying to do. But again, I felt like this scene was a non-starter. It felt ridiculous. Like, what are we talking about? You're trying to move on. Okay, who cares? Okay. Only for have you guys seen the first 6 minutes of next week's episode where Shamea meets up with Ralph? Yes, Shamea. She's like, oh, we had a podcast together. So Shamea meets up with Ralph and conveniently invites Portia to be a part of the conversation. And Portia's just like, I know what this looks like. I wasn't being petty. I was just hungry. Yeah, it was, the energy was giving that Portia and Shamea, being Portia's lapdog, let's do a scene with Ralph. Okay. Let's do a scene with Ralph. But yeah, let me get to a couple of these super chats, guys. We're almost at 1,000 likes, but we have 3,400 of you watching on YouTube and Facebook. Shout out to all of you watching on TikTok as well. Those of you watching on Twitch and Twitter. Before I move on, before I get to the super chats, I am going to drop the call and link for our members first before I forget. So if you are a Royal Court member or senior royal, I'm going to drop it for you first on the community tab or the post tab here on YouTube. And keep liking the video, guys, for those that haven't liked it already. Let me do it here. Royal Court members and senior royals, I'm dropping the link for you now. Live chat, we're going to have to get over 1,000 likes before I drop it for you. So until we get there, good luck. All right. So Royal Court members, I've dropped it for you. Team Kempire members, I will drop it for you in a few. Okay. All right. And shout out to those of you watching. Sassy's watching on Twitter. Hey, Sassy. Good afternoon. Kels is watching on Twitch. Hey, Kels. What's going on? Shout out to everyone watching on those platforms. Nicole, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Nicole says, ask Portia to spell apology first. And then I will believe her. Apollo, watch out, Phaedra. I mean, I wouldn't put it past her, but Apollo's not going to be able to offer Portia anything, like financially. So she's not going after it. Maybe for a night, but she's not trying to have a relationship with him. Sharon, thank you so much for being a member for the super chat. Sharon says, wonder how this dynamic would be if Candy were here. She's friends with Shamea and wouldn't let Portia or Drew get away with their shenanigans unchecked. Yeah, possibly. Who knows? Mari, thank you so much for or Mary, thank you so much for being a member for the super chat. Mary says, Portia's old storylines were simply about securing a man. Todd, Dennis, Duke, Oliver, etc. She's always been male-centered, hence her Charles comments. Thank you for reminding me, because I'm trying to remember, like, what were her storylines before? Like, I can only remember, like, certain points. Sam, thank you so much for the super chat. Sam says, Portia still wants Dennis. He is on her YouTube videos, and she did a get ready with me for him coming over. He may like Portia, but not enough to not cheat on her again. I agree with that. Thank you so much, Laura, for the hand heart on TikTok. Shout out to our TikTok fam. TikTok fam, we should be at least 25,000 likes. We're only at 15,000. Keep tapping your screens. Sam, thank you so much for the super chat. Sam says, oh, wait, we read that. Thank you, Sam, for the super chat. Keith, thank you so much for another super chat. Keith says, Angela's better than me because I don't care if I was 1,000% wrong. My man better get on television and agree with me. Otherwise, cut the cameras. But that's what makes you a Virgo, and that makes a Taurus. But like I said, I feel like, yes, I need you to tell me the truth. I don't need yes people, but at some point, I need your support. At some particular point, because again, Tauruses are not going to ask for support. But at some point, if I'm married to you, I'm going to need your support. All right? Latoya, thank you so much for the super chat. Latoya says, that au pair is beautiful. She may become PJ's stepmother, Mrs. Hot Dog Queen. She was quite young, though. Hopefully not. I was more concerned for her than anything being around Dennis. Ugh. But yeah. All right. Let's move on. So we had that scene with Brit helping her mom pack up to move out of the house because, as you know, Brit's mom's going to be moving in with her. Cher Cher seems to be going through a lot. Like her reactions to things, because she's like, well, I think you should keep the house so that we have as a family somewhere to go to. And the mom's just like, yeah, I'm not trying to keep this house. She even had like a terrible reaction with the mom getting rid of some of the father's things. And she's just getting rid of him, getting rid of my father. So that leads to a heated conversation. But I know some people felt like these scenes were rehearsed. However, I feel like there's always someone in the family like Cher that sort of is just very sensitive about everything, has these over the top reactions. Because even when was it Tiara FaceTime with them, Tiara and Cher still have their issues, and they FaceTime with her. Cher has the big reaction in regards to, it's like, what about our relationship? What about us? Da, 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 da. And it's just like, okay. So I get why people might feel like it's over the top, but I feel like there are people very much like Cher in your family that react this way. Soraya says Cher needs some therapy, child. Yeah. Because she's still, it feels like she's still dealing with the loss of the father, which is fine. But her reactions to the mom getting rid of some of the items, and her reaction to her sister what was it, Tiara, was interesting. But it definitely was all over the place. But that's all I have to say about that scene. There really wasn't much to that scene. Again, it's just reminding me, like, I'm not that interested in Brit and what's going on with Brit. It just is what it is. It's not team twirl or anything. It's just the scenes that we get with Brit. It's just like, like these are family dynamics. These things are real, but at the same time, it's like, just not interested. Exactly. Janita says, as a person who lost my dad 5 years ago, I can acknowledge someone who is still in grief. Their dad passed 10 years ago. She needs grief counseling. I think that's the basic, and they probably need family counseling too. But okay. All right. All right. Moving on. Demi, thank you so much for the super chat. Demi says, gee, I wonder how she threatened him to make him drop Drew. Also, why didn't Drew say anything? But remember, Drew and Dennis, yeah, when he said he dropped Drew, but he didn't. Drew released the whole project with Dennis. So whatever happened didn't necessarily. So it could have just been him lying again, saying that, oh, I'm not working with Drew, but he's working with Drew kind of thing. So Dennis likes to lie. Okay, so, and clearly because he does end up working with Drew. All right. Oh, Aisha says that Cher acts just like Brit, in my opinion. Maybe that's why they couldn't get along for a hot second. All right. So Bailey Q. So Cynthia Bailey likes to throw her Bailey Q, and she normally does it around July 4th, but she decided she's going to do it for Juneteenth, which I love. She's going to do it for Juneteenth. So she told the ladies, wear the colors of Juneteenth. All right, like what you see me having on. Okay, and not everyone did that. Okay. More specifically, I feel like everyone else did it except Portia. Portia ended up coming in like a pink outfit. Like who else didn't? I mean, here's the thing though, Cynthia. This is your Bailey Q. You of all people should have looked like what Shamea was trying to give us, even though like that was over the top. Like, but that should have been your look. You were in all black, Cynthia. This is your party. You of all people should have had not just the black, maybe like something else to highlight the green, red, or something. I'm like, nothing. Just all black. I was like, all right, fine. So she invited a prophet. Okay, Prophet Tasha talks about, as soon as she gets there, she meets Brit, and she says, "Oh, I see that you have a new business, and things are going on with that business." And so this is Brit talking about her new business, Bare Naked. Okay, I'm just bringing it up for those that didn't watch the episode. I really didn't care about that prophecy. Okay, but then she reads Kelly. So Kelly arrives, and she reads Kelly, and she brings up something that Mark did to Kelly in regards to this car that Mark got for her. He ended up selling it because he was being vindictive, and the prophet sees that, and Kelly's like, no one knows about that except Brit. She told Brit that story. All right. The prophet then says, because when she meets Angela, She says that her and Charles probably need a vacation. She's like, you both have gotten too comfortable, which is not abnormal for people that have been married 10 plus years. And Angela's like, well, let me order something right now from Victoria's Secret. I'm not surprised by that, but they need to work on it. I just felt like, oh, damn, to say that in front of these women, because then it leads to the prophet saying that he's looking to buy something, and she said, oh, I see a Porsche or something like that. So Shamea, being messy, says, wait, I'm being messy, but are you saying a Porsche or a Porsche? That's not funny. Especially if you're not in a good place with someone. If you're not in a good place with someone and she just sent you a full text talking about how your morals do not align with hers, the last thing she wants to hear in front of this group from you, Shamina, okay, is the fact that joking about her husband being with Portia. Like, that's not funny. If it was one-on-one with you and Angela, and you guys were friendly like that, I could understand. But she's already mad at you, and then you don't understand why she's even more mad at you when you guys have that sit down later on at the Bailey Q. Like, you're corny. You're corny for that. You sure it was a Porsche? Anyway, here's the difference. Let's say Drew said that to Angela. I think Angela probably would feel a little bit differently because she's like, Drew, I mean, it's not funny, but coming from Drew, it's going to land different than Shamea, who's Portia's best friend. All right? Exactly. Alice says it's Angela versus the Airheads. Angela made a comment about that. I think it was in the after show. I can't remember if it was the after show or not. She made a comment about how, like, they're being the minions of Portia, but she was also like, they're not that bright. And when you look at the people that are involved there, for the most part, they're not that bright. Just saying. Jessica says, as a married woman, I would never. Oh, Pure Luxury Song says Shamea playing and Gerald will get himself a Porsche. All right, so Shamea makes that joke. All right, and then hold on. So the prophet says that when everything is said and done, so Portia's there, and she says when everything's said and done with Portia and Simon and the divorce, she says that her and Simon will be friends again. I mean, I could see that, just friends, but okay. I thought that was interesting that she said that. So Brit brings up to Angela that what the prophet may have been spot on about Angela's marriage. So Brit's the one that brings up what happened at the pool again, and then what the prophet says. So it may have been spot on what we were talking about. Like, why would you say that? Remember, Brit and Angela were in a decent place. So why would you be the one to, and this is why Angela says that Brit is like being Portia's mouthpiece, being Portia's minion. Because why would you bring that up? It might have been right what we were saying at the pool. Like, first of all, no one wants to hear that about their marriage, okay? Especially coming from someone else. And especially if in that group of women, one of the women are saying that, oh, I should sleep with your man, okay? In front of two other married women. All of them are married that were there. Because even Kelly at this particular point was, yes, estranged, but she was still married. So all those were married women at the pool. Okay. So Brit brings that back up in front of the prophet, and Brit says that maybe wait, hold on. Brings that back up in regards to Angela's marriage. And Angela says, you got a big mouth. And she was like, well, maybe you need to use your mouth more often. I mean, I was like, okay, Brit, all right. And then, but she wasn't ready for it, because here you go defending, getting yourself involved in Portia's fight, an argument with Angela, but you weren't ready for Angela's response, because Angela's like, not as much as yours with the stretch marks around it. And then she was just like, and in the after show, Kelly and Shamea were talking about it, and they were like, the way that Brit was sort of like shook. we've seen that with Brit a couple of times, just be shook. Like, she's not prepared to come with the shade. Like, I was sort of like, okay, with the, maybe you should use your mouth a little bit more. I was like, okay. And then she wasn't able to take it all the way home because Angela took it all the way home. She was just like, not as much as yours with the stretch marks around it. And then she's like, you're a whore. You're a whore. Teresa says, Angela clocked that hoe quick and in a hurry. I was just like, damn. Like, I wasn't ready for it. And neither was Brit. Neither was Brit. And then she says, you're a whore. And they were like, not a whore. And they all had a reaction to it. Sidebar, Kelly, when they were talking about the baby and things like that, Brit says, the whole world knows about a side baby. And Kelly's like, yes, the world knows about a side baby. That is not going to age well for you, Kelly, because when you are no longer friends with Brit, you sitting there riding this Brit train and having her back at this conversation. The whole world knows about a side baby. Okay. And mind you, at this particular point, no one knew about a side baby. Okay. So Kelly's chiming in. All right. Shamea, another cringy moment in her confessional, because she's like, we're trying to have a baby. And she was like, if Gerald's had a side baby, and she'd be like, can we get the baby? Because they've been trying to have a baby for forever. I was like, did anyone else cringe when Shamea said that? I was like, so you would want to take your husband's side baby as your own? I know she was trying to be funny, but again, in this one episode, it's Shamea making a cringy comment. I was just like, she's like, we've been trying to have a side baby, but I guess we'll just take your side. I was like, Shamea, you're not. I think a lot of times these housewives try to be funny, witty. They think this is what they're supposed to do and say. They're trying to be iconic, and it's just not landing. It's just not landing. It was just like, you would take the side baby as your own because you've been trying to have a side baby? I probably would have been like, oh, you got a side baby, I'm leaving you. And look, we know she was trying to be funny, and it didn't land. It just was another cringy moment with Shamea in this episode. All right, so Cynthia being the chaperone, okay, and the peacemaker, and the moderator, and the mediator, she says she's going to pull Portia and Angela aside so they can have a conversation. So Portia and Angela have a conversation. So Angela brings up the comment that Portia said about effing Charles, okay? But Portia in that moment says, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Then Portia says, in her confessional though, Portia said, it was a stupid comment that I shouldn't have made it. And it's like, well, maybe I should have, because we were having fun with my friends, and that's why I said it. It's like, huh? Yeah. So eventually in this conversation, when Cynthia comes back to see like where they're at with this conversation, Angela does apologize because Portia was just like, why am I apologizing? She was talking about my husband. And then Angela apologizes for the comments she made about the whole conversation about, why'd you take that woman's husband? Mind you, yeah, people are still wondering why we're not holding Portia accountable for what happened in her last season. She's refusing to talk about how that played out. But again, is she going to tell us the truth? No. So I'm just sort of like, I'm done with it. I don't care about it at this particular point. Okay? But Angela does apologize for it. And then Cynthia's like, and you, Portia? And Portia's just like, ditto. And then she does eventually apologize. But okay, fine. So then Shamea is brought over by Cynthia so that she can have a conversation with Angela. I didn't think the issues between Shamea and Angela were that deep, but they decide to have a conversation. I think, if anything, the issues were deeper between Brit and Angela than Angela and Shamea. But anyway, so Shamea comes over. So Portia and Angela seem to be good in their conversation after they sit down for this conversation. But do you think, would you ever be good with someone after they said, I should F your husband? I don't think you would be, right? We can move forward, but I got my eye on you. I got my eye on you. Like, we're not good. So Shamea comes over and she sits down. She's like, I want to talk about the text message that you sent. Okay. So Angela says that she feels like, as a married woman, that she expected Shamea to check Portia. Here's the thing. I don't think I would expect Shamea to check Portia in front of me, but I would expect Shamea not to be like, that's not, in that moment, like, that's not funny. But I'm telling you, if Shamea said to Portia, Portia, you shouldn't say that. That's not funny. Portia would give her the death stare. Portia would be mad at her. But again, that's not a friend, Shamea. If you cannot tell your friend when they're wrong, that is not a friend. At y'all big age, 40-something-year-old women, you can't tell your friend? Like, yeah, that's not funny. Because I would be concerned if my friend, and again, you all have said it in regards to Shamea and how the accusations of how she hooked up Portia, not accusations, she said in the comment section, how she hooked up Simon and Portia, okay? So, but I would be concerned that this it seems to be a pattern from my said friend. So, Angela says in this conversation, like, I would expect you to check Portia for making a comment like that, being a married woman. I guess she doesn't expect that from Brit, because Brit's also married. And look, Kelly, at this particular point, is married, has been married. All these people are married women. Okay. Candy says she would. Heatha says that Candy would have checked Portia. Yeah, I think she would have too. I definitely think she would have said something in that moment, like, that's not funny. Like, that's not funny. Let's not say that. So then Shamea says, well, I laugh at everything. And we were having a kiki. And she was like, and it was some funny-ish. Oh, that was funny. It's only funny, Shamea, until it's your man. And a lot of you, when I said, why didn't Portia just get dressed at Shamea's house for her birthday party? And a lot of you said, well, maybe Shamea doesn't want Portia around Gerald. And I was like, oh, maybe. And maybe she thinks, oh, Portia would never do that to me, until she does. She has a pattern. So, Shamea doesn't understand why Angela is dragging it with her in regards to holding her feet to the fire. And she's like, I'm sorry, exclamation point. Did anyone else? I was like, wait, did she mean exclamation? She said, what did she say? Exclamation point marks, exclamation marks. I was like, I think she means exclamation. But okay. Look, and I get words messed up too, but when she said exclamation, I said exclamation. Have I been saying, don't you hate it when someone says something incorrectly, then you start questioning yourself, like, am I saying it incorrectly? Is it exclamation or is it exclamation? All right. Just asking. I was confused for a second. So she doesn't understand, Shamea doesn't understand in regards to where Angela's coming from with this. Because she's like, I laugh at anything. She even brings up where, I forgot, her relative passed away and they dressed him up as a pastor and he's never set foot in a church. And then Angela's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this with you. That now you make a joke about everything, so I'm supposed to just forgive you for that? I don't blame her. All right? I don't blame her. All right. I did drop the call-in link for Team Kempire members as well. Live chat, we have almost 3,500 of you here. Let's get to 1,250 likes, and I will drop the call-in link for the general audience. I want to say thank you because we had quite a few super chats as well. Keep liking the video. Don't forget, guys, you can also get my skincare. Yes, get my skincare at butterskin.com/Kempire for 10% off. More information will be available in the description because I see a lot of you saying you love my skincare today. My skincare is brought to you by our friends over at Butter. All right. Be sure to check out the description for more details on that. Kendra, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Kendra says Dr. G's singing was better than this episode. OMG.
Get on with my life now. I wanna get on with my life now. I got a brand
Damn, really, Kendra? Sashay Shante, thank you so much for the super chat. Sashay says, "Hi Kev, I missed last week's recap, so I don't know if you talked about the editing because Portia was in full white or gold outfit with cowboy hat on her phone call with Pilar before she came down in black. Somebody's lying." I did talk about that last week. I was like, did she change? Like, what was that about? Because she seemed okay when she called Pilar. So I don't know. I guess maybe she changed. Maybe her mood changed. I don't know. Who knows? Or was it bad editing? I don't know. Candy Cane, thank you so much for the super chat. Candy Cane says, correction, Shamea is not a lap dog. She is the purse poodle. Damn. Damn. Ali, thank you so much for the super chat. Ali says, Brit's mom gives me, she married and started a family young. She was a child raising children, and that's why her daughters behave the way that they do. Oh, that's an interesting perspective. Maybe. Lashonda, thank you so much for the super chat and for being a member. Lashonda says, the way Angela read Brit, I feel like Kenya was there in spirit. Oh, she did that. It would make me interested to see what Kenya's reaction would have been in that moment. Can you imagine if Kenya did not leave the show and she was still there? And of course, she probably still would have had beef with Brit. It would have been interesting to hear her confessional with that. I know she probably watched it and was just like, yes. Mr. Cortez, thank you so much for the super chat. Mr. Cortez says, if you want to find the shade, just look for the oak. Come on now. She's living up to her tagline, Angela Oakley. If you want to find the shade, just look for the oak. Just saying. Thank you for the reminder. V, thank you so much for the super chat. V says, Shamea supporting Portia's behavior is wild, especially as a wife herself. How can you co-sign someone constantly crossing boundaries with married men? That's the part, V. It's not like it was just a one-off joke. It's the constant accusations of her crossing boundaries with married men. Loyalty shouldn't come at the expense of morals. That part, V. Loyalty should not come at the expense of morals. And that's exactly what Angela said in her text message to Shamea. She's like, my morals and values do not align with you guys. I wonder how VENMO feels about that, though. Lashonda, don't forget about the miles on her mouth. Come on, Lashonda, come on. Oh my gosh. V, thank you so much for another super chat. I'm sorry. V says, Brit's energy towards Angela is off. Very mean girl for no reason. I agree. She doesn't seem like a good fit for the group at all. Wrong vibe, wrong show. Yeah, because she was being Portia's minion. She really didn't have a thought of her own. All right. I'm sorry, y'all. I cracked myself up with that one because I had to think, look, everyone can get it here. Everyone can get it here. All right. Oh man. All right. You can tell I've been talking a lot because now my throat is like, that's what Brit said. All right, keep liking the video, guys. We're almost at 1,200 likes. All right, Dr. Miss Honey, thank you for the super chat. Dr. Miss Honey says, I don't want to mom shame, but Portia is worried that PJ isn't getting enough time with her, so she drops off a random dog and hires an au pair. Make it make sense. Well, yeah, look, I mean, you say you don't want to mom shame, and so I know your intention is good, but you bring up valuable points. I was like, yeah, when you lay it out that way, Miss Honey, Dr. Miss Honey. I don't want to mom shame, but Portia is worried that PJ isn't getting enough time with her, so she drops off a random dog and hires an au pair. Make it make sense. That's a good point. Just saying. I didn't think about that until you laid it out that way. There is something there in regards to, but I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone. Okay. All right. So we're going to get to some callers. But before I do, I'm just going to remind you the callers' opinions do not represent the opinions of myself, the Kempire LLC, or our sponsors. As always, more information on our sponsors are available in the description from our friends over at Rose Forever. Go get your roses today. You can see some roses behind me for those that are watching us on YouTube. But if you're listening to us on the podcast, more information on Rose Forever and your discount code Kempire20MD for Mother's Day is available in the description. You still have time to get yourself or someone you love roses. And shout out to those of you that have been asking and requesting me on Cameo so that you can get your cameo from me for Mother's Day, birthday, anniversary. Until May 10th, there is an exclusive discount available right now for Cameo. If you've been wanting to get a personal message from me or pick me up comment from me, go book me today on Cameo, TheKempire. More information will be available in the description. Okay. All right. Let's see what you got. The podcast. All right, live chat. I am going to drop the call-in link once we get to 1,250 likes. We are almost there. Shout out to those of you watching on TikTok. I see you guys. Thank you for tapping your screens. We're almost at 30,000 likes. TikTok, be sure to keep on tapping. Let's get to our members. Our members are backstage members. You will only get 30 seconds. Because, we have a long line backstage of people that want to share their thoughts on the Real Housewives of Atlanta's latest episode. Let me look at how you guys are rating this week's episode. And for those that are watching on TikTok, be sure to let me know how you would rate this week's episode of the Real Housewives of Atlanta from 1 to 10. Based off of 2,260 something votes, you guys are rating this week's episode with 54% of the vote between 4 and 6, which is not bad. But it's not great either. 54% of you, a large majority, are rating it between 4 and 6. 34% of you are rating it between 7 and 10. And 12% of you are rating this week's episode between 1 and 2. Exactly. Marche says everybody can get it on this Diddy Monday. So the Diddy trial begins today. What they're doing today in regards to the Diddy trial is jury selection. I will give you an update as needed. I'm not going to be doing everyday updates on Diddy, especially this week, because right now they're doing the jury selection. And you guys will let me know if you want me to talk about the jury selection, and I will do that in a separate video in that process. Okay? Exactly. Thank you, Angie. Angie says 30 seconds, no pleasantries. Gotta get into it. We love you though, Kempire. No, I agree. We for those that are backstage, no need to say, "Hey, Kempire, how are you doing?" No pleasantries. Just get into the point. All right, just let people know who you are, okay? All right, let me bring up our first guest to the channel. Miss Esquire's backstage. Miss Esquire, what's going on? You're muted, Miss Esquire. Miss Esquire is probably in a meeting or something. I'll bring you back up later, Miss Esquire. She was first, too. All right, Brooklyn Star's backstage. You're going to bring Brooklyn Star up next. Ooh.
Hey, I think when it comes to Portia, Miss Diane is the problem. When you come from a generational line of fortune hunters, when one loses a bag, it is up to you to carry your bag and get her bag back as well. I think Portia sees something in Angela, like Angela is about it, like she treads lightly, because I think Angela fights. I think I gagged really, I laughed really hard because they all clutched their purse like it was the first time more than half of them heard the word whore, because I know they've been called it before. And I think that's it. But yes, that's it.
Thank you.
No problem.
Oh, that was funny. Okay, let me bring up Keith next. Keith, what did you want to share about Real Housewives of Atlanta?
Hey, so first of all, if I was Angela, I actually would not trust Portia at all. I would never be able to be friends with her. She would not be able to come to my home. I wouldn't be able to invite her to cookouts. She wouldn't be able to come to my child's birthday parties. It would just be a shopping type of friendship. Secondly, I don't trust Kelly. Something about that loud personality seemed very inauthentic. I don't know if it's just the Virgo senses coming to me, but something about her needs to be watched, and I don't know. There's something off about her. But that's about it.
Wow. Okay. Thanks, Keith. All right. Let me bring up Tanya next. Tanya, what's going on?
Okay, so what I have to say is, what is wrong being big bird tall? How tall is Angela Oakley?
I think like 5'10".
Huh?
I think like 5'10".
Girl, that's what I want to be. I'm 5'9". What is wrong with being big bird tall? And you know what? Big bird feet. need shoes. And you know what? At DSW, they're on sale on maybe 80%, I would say. But I love it. Like big girl tall like me. I would say I love being taller. Like I wish I was taller.
Okay.
Also. But and also I love her husband because he may be like a jerk, but that is maybe that's her love language. You know,
Mm.
and that's my love language too.
Oh,
I
okay.
love I love someone like to tell. I don't want an easy peasy guy. I
Okay.
want someone to tell me like, "Hey, you're wrong," but you know what? I will tell him you're wrong too. You know. But
Okay.
anyways, and
Okay.
also it's great sex.
Oh,
Okay,
oh, oh,
let me let
oh.
me let me leave off.
Yeah. Thanks, Tanya.
Oh no.
Bye. Okay. All right. Let me try it, Miss Esquire again. Miss Esquire, are you there?
I am. Why
Okay.
these people want me to work today?
I know. It's Sunday.
Um, so I just want to say, as a single woman who has never been married, it would insult me if I heard anyone say that they were going to sleep with someone else's husband.
Mm.
You don't have to be married to be respectful of people's commitment to each other
Yep.
and to call out when somebody is saying something that indicates a lack of integrity.
Mm.
And so I understand why Angela was specifically pointing her like venom towards Shamea in that respect. But honestly, that's something every woman should check. Any
Mm.
woman who's around you or any person who's around you who would be a part of the destruction of somebody's marriage is not somebody you should want to be friends with. That shows a lack of integrity. It shows a lack of like morals and values. And I don't understand where Portia's coming from. She's never had a relationship that lasted more than 2 years. She doesn't know anything about commitment. So
Mm.
I really don't put it past her to do anything with anybody's husband. Honestly,
Mm.
she's literally, if you check her Palm Pilot, you check the miles on her tires, she's never been in a relationship more than 2 years.
You're right,
Ever.
though.
She hasn't. She's married to Cordell for 15 months. To Simon for 15 months. She was with Cordell for 2 years. She was with Dennis for 2 years. She does not know what commitment is. She's never met her.
Maybe she's been with that married man longer.
Honestly, Dennis is her longest relationship. I wish they would just go ahead and make it work.
Oh, damn. Damn. All right. Thanks, Miss Esquire.
Bye.
Bye. Wow. Hold on, Judgy Justice. I'm going to drop the call and link for everyone in 1 second. There we go. So I've dropped the call and link for the general audience. We're talking about the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And for those that have been asking me to add the callers back to our podcast version, they've been added back for the last week or two, but none of y'all called that out when I did that. But okay. So the callers are back included with our podcast version for those that wanted to hear it. All right, let's bring up Judgy Justice next. Judgy Justice, what did you want to share about Real Housewives of Atlanta?
All right, so Shamea with that baby comment talking about we would take the baby. I was like, what in the Kirk and Rashida is going on here? And
Oh,
this one, and then also Portia talking all this big bird stuff, big girl this stuff. You was running from big girl at the pool. She ain't no Tiny Fallon. You was scared she gonna toss you in the pool.
Oh.
And that's it for me. Bye.
Thanks so much, Judgy Justice. Okay. I mean, you got a point. Because we also have to remember, too, Angela's from Chicago. And you know how Drew loves to say, I'm from Chicago? Angela never really says, I mean, Angela says, I'm from Chicago, but not in a threatening way. Those are the people that you need to watch. The ones that don't bring up, oh, I'm from here. It's the ones that don't say it that you usually be like, oh, she never said it in a fight. Like, she didn't say she's from Chicago. I think I'm a little concerned. Run. Okay? Run. All right, we have a lot of people backstage. Dalen's backstage. Dalen, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire.
Hey.
I just want to say, Team Angela, where them fans at?
Oh.
Period. And Shamea, please, let's find another person to chase after. And Dennis, the Teletubby, is thirsty for camera time. Like, I don't understand it. It's not that serious. You're just a baby daddy. Be a baby daddy in the back. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Dalen. All right. Let's bring up Toya next. Toya, what did you want to share? That was
Hey,
Toya.
Kempire.
Hey.
I just wanted to say that Brit was all the way wrong for saying what she said about Angela, knowing that a few weeks ago Kenya was showing a lot of people what her mouth do. She should have kept her mouth shut. Okay, and if I was Angela, I would have referenced back to Kenya's poster. but I'm petty like that. Shamea, girl, we cannot defend. I'm Team Shamea, but there's no way. We're not gonna sit here and act like Gerald isn't Portia's type.
Oh,
Okay, so you watch your man, hide your wives, hide your husbands. Bye.
thanks, Toya. Here's the thing. One of the things that the prophet said to Shamea, you didn't see it in the episode, but in the after show, Shamea says that you guys are going to have some money issues. So Shamea says that she went home and she was checking the accounts and she said the accounts were counting. So she was a little worried. We need to, someone bookmark that. I'm not wishing that on them, but I was like, the prophet was right about a lot of other stuff. And she said that Shamea and Gerald might have like a money issue. Doesn't mean that they're going to go broke, but she said there might be a money issue. I was like, oh, let's watch that. Okay. All right. DJ's backstage. Going to bring DJ up next. DJ, what did you want to share about Real Housewives of Atlanta? DJ, you're muted. DJ. You might be a lot of y'all at work. It's all right. I'll come back to DJ. Hold on. Let me bring up Tyler next. Tyler, what did you want to share about Real Housewives of Atlanta?
Hi. So I want to say this. I want to get Brit some cocoa butter to fix those stretch marks around her mouth. But I will say this. I'm loving Angela. I think what's going on with Shamea, I'm not going to give her grace, but I'm going to give her grace. I think after seeing this first season and being full time and it not just being one scandal, I think that she's going to actually see not just about Portia, that she's too much of a people's pleaser. And if you watch her YouTubes and stuff like that, she kind of has started acknowledging that. She needs to get away from Portia. Portia is loyal to no one but a dingling. But all right, thank you.
Oh, bye, Tyler. That word always makes me giggle. Anyone else? Ding-a-ling? See, I'm gay. That always made me giggle. All right, let me try. Wait, let me do Miss Bernice first, and then we'll try DJ again. Miss Bernice, what's going on?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey.
Hey, this is going out for the whole of the universe, Portia, who have gotten her PhD in philosophy from her mother. So why were you assume that she would act any other way? Remember, she was the thought of Thoughtlandia. No. She said that we didn't.
That hoe over there.
Yeah, yeah. She's proven that season after season. So why is y'all so surprised that she would say that out her mouth? What's in the heart, the liquor brings out. And she loved Henny, so she gonna be saying a whole lot of stuff. There go my 30 seconds. I did good.
Yes, you did, Miss Bernice. You called her a hoe and everything. All right, let me try DJ again. DJ, are you there?
Hey, Kempire, how you doing?
Not bad. How are you?
Portia. It is crazy. I bet her back in that badonkadonk is hurting from carrying this season.
Oh?
Her and Angela. But Portia's got to the point like a Nene or like a Kenya maybe even where it's like, you don't even have to bring the content, just show up and it's your season. Her and Angela, I'm this season, the episodes are starting to get very, very good. And my last point, Angela ate that girl up. I had to rewatch it like 3 times. I just thought, in that little snippet, she earned her peach right there. Oh, really quickly. Why is it that everybody's so quick to check their friend? But I want to see Angela check the husband. I think she's lying. Wendy Williams knew exactly that Charles Oakley was the one that had the outside baby, or maybe that had the outside girl or whatever. And Angela just doesn't want to admit it, but everything comes to the light on reality TV.
Unfortunately. All right. Thanks, DJ. I mean, yeah, we're going to be watching that. That's why I said don't jump on bandwagons. Yes, we're enjoying Angela right now, but let's wait and see how this plays out, okay? All right, let's bring Born to Win up next. Born to Win, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey.
So Shamea had a fan in me until last night. I didn't watch the episode, but I did watch that clip of she and Angela sitting down. And when Angela came, I love the fact that Angela's a grown woman.
Yeah.
despite they want to talk about her age, but in maturity and just how she handles situations, she's grown. She comes to your face, she says what she got to say. Despite her going in her confessional, she also says it to your face. So I love that she checked her and said, hey, I expected a little more from you. You've been a married woman, despite your friend, being a hoe. Sorry to say, but you should be able to check that. You don't have to check her in front of me, but at least check that. And I think, I like that she held her accountable. So,
All
all
right.
right.
Thanks, Born
Bye.
to Win. Take care. Whew. Okay. There was something I wanted to say about Angela. I can't remember what it was. Oh, happy belated birthday, Angela. Oh, wait, I froze again. Ugh. I gotta change these wires, y'all. There we go. It's overheating or something. There we go. Anyway, yeah, happy belated birthday to Angela. Everyone keeps saying that Angela I don't think Angela necessarily looks older. I think Angela gives an older energy. And I think the way she speaks I think that's why. I don't feel like she looks old. Like certain people, you're like, you're 40 something. Like they look haggardly. I don't think she looks haggardly. And again, we were saying that maybe it was the nose job that kind of makes her look a little bit older, But I don't think she looks like she needs to moisturize more. You know what I mean? I think her energy, the way she carries herself, the way she speaks, skews older. Because I think when people say, oh, you're 43, I don't think they mean it in a way that, oh my God, you look old. Okay, I can't stand you, Seven. Seven, you know what, Bird. Seven says, happy 55th birthday, Angela. You know what I do like about Angela, though? Despite all the things that people say about her online, she really laughs it off. I have to say, and people talk about her like she laughs it off. She'll be on Twitter and things like that, retweeting people making jokes. But I was sort of like, I can appreciate that. All right. See, Parmesan Tree says she sounds like a grandma. So I think that's what it is. I don't think she necessarily looks old. I think it's her energy. Okay. All right. Enough of me talking. There's plenty of people backstage that want to share their thoughts. Taurus with the T's backstage. Taurus with the T, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kemp. Happy Monday.
You too.
Wanted to jump in and say I was very irritated with Shamea all of last night's episode. She is not Gorilla Glue. She's not even Elmer's glue when it comes to this group. She's very weak. And I hate that because she is just giving very people pleasing to the wrong person. And in a way, I am kind of very interested to see the demise of their friendship. Angela, she doesn't give older, she gives mature, and maybe that's what this group is not used to, is being around someone who is going to be direct and say what they have to say instead of pussyfooting around the issue. And that's all I want to say. And I agree with the caller who said that Kelly cannot be trusted. Something about that little fake laugh and that little characterized dog, I'm not trusting it, but I'll keep watching.
I mean, I agree. There's something. I mean, she's also a Pisces, so
There you have
Secrets.
it. Happy Monday.
Thanks, Taurus and T. Bye. Sorry, Pisces. I'm sorry. It's true. No, it's true. All right. Anthony's backstage. We'll bring Anthony up next. Anthony, what's going on?
Hey, Kempire. Hey, everyone. Anthony from Los Angeles, California. You're good. I'm good. We're all good. Okay, so for this episode, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. For Brit, in the words of Kenya Moore, you need to shut your mouth because if there's not a D in it, you don't even know what you're saying. I am not understanding Brett with these lies, and the story keeps changing. Get off the show. I'm done with Brett. As well, take Portia with you because this storyline with Drew and with Dennis makes no sense. She keeps saying baby daddy, and that's all he is to her. That's all that should be. Like, if she can't talk about Simon, this divorce, producer should have known and just not have her on the show. But that's it. Thank you so much, Kempire.
Thanks, Anthony. Bye. Just to clarify, though, remember when she announced that she was coming back, she was still with Simon. They were happy, and she was coming back as Mrs. Gobadia. So that was part of the reason why everyone, including the network, thought that they signed up for Portia's new life, and even Portia did, and then it fell apart very quickly. I still feel like it would have fell flat. Seeing Portia's new life with Simon, for me, again, it would just reminded me of what we got with Portia's Family of Lies. Like I wasn't excited about Portia returning. But okay. All right. We're going to bring up Michael next. Michael, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. All right. I see everybody coming for my family real hard today, but that's cool. I'm gonna let that one slide. But I did want to add 30 seconds to Miss Bernice's comment because in my heart I really feel like this is all on Miss Diane. Like we already know that she'd be living through her daughter, and she had her doing music videos. When that didn't pan out in the early years, she couldn't bag an artist. Then she made a contractual agreement to get with Cordell to clean up his history, not my words, Portia's words, on record, on TV. And then when that soured, then as the truth came out, they are like manipulative women that are out there just to try to get a better life than the one they've always lived. And to me, that is what you guys have been calling a hoe. Thank you.
Oh, by Michael. Michael's family is Shamea, allegedly. By marriage, no blood relation. All right. Let me bring up Nota Queen next. Nota Queen, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire. Real
Hey.
quick, Portia does not want Dennis. She wants Dennis to want her. And she's not worried about Drew working with Dennis. She's worried about the rumors about Drew and Dennis's hot dog. That's all she cares about. That's why she trying to step out and pop out in front of that man. I like Mrs. Charles Oakley, but her not actually just breaking down the timeline of the alleged side baby leads me to believe that there is a side baby, because it's as simple as saying we got married this year, the baby was born this year, cut it out right there. But she won't do that for some reason. And all I can do is give her idea, because hindsight is 2020. Now you look a fool for foregoing your morals in front of Angela and everybody else behind Portia, and she ain't even worried about you. But that's all. You have a good one, and I like the video today.
Thank you so much, Nota Queen. And everyone else liked the video too. If you haven't already, if you're just joining us, we're taking callers talking about the latest episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. If you're part of the replay crew, we haven't forgotten about you, replay crew. Be sure to let us know where you're watching from, how you would rate this week's episode, and your thoughts on everything that played out in the episode, or your thoughts on what we had to say as well. All right, let me say thank you because we had a few super chats as well. Pageant Mommy, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Pageant Mommy says, a working mother hiring assistant should not be scrutinized, and buying a dog for her family is not bad. Come on, painting angelic or villainous brushes is reductive. Okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion in regards to what Portia was doing with the au pair and the dog and things like that. I think based off of what we were watching, it just felt, especially with PJ's response to the dog, it didn't seem like PJ wanted a dog or expected a dog. Ja, thank you so much for the super chat. Ja says, hey, Kempire, wanted to add to what the caller from Long Island said last week about Portia and Shamea being birds. Damn, you remembered? Another New York term is pigeon. Yeah. Folks need to look up Sporty Thieves, No Pigeons. Love you, Kempire. Remember that song? I remember that. Thank you so much. Dina, thank you so much for the super chat. Dina says, people are assuming that the big goofball Shamea has morals. I mean, again, if you were here last week, we were talking about how everyone was breaking down, like, I don't know why we're surprised. Look at how Shamea has been over the years. Shamea is not new to us, and we shouldn't be surprised. And if you can continue to call someone like Portia your friend, your best friend, that's already an indication. You know, I'm sure your parents have said this to you, you know, tell me who your friends are, tell me who you are. All right. Gracie, thank you so much for the super chat. Gracie says, Shamina, Drew, and Kalia or Kelly, I don't know what you're saying here, all want Nene back. Oh, is that what they said? Thank you so much, Gracie, for the super chat. King of Kings, thank you so much for being a member. Says, I loved Miss Bernice. Yes. Tanya, thank you so much for the super sticker and for being a member. We appreciate your support. Look out for Lauren. Thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Lauren says, so I'm from the south side of Chicago. Angela is from the west side. Portia's not ready for that type of smoke. Trust me. Baby, they a different breed. Well, I didn't even know there was a difference. So you're from the south side of Chicago. Angela's from the west side. Portia's not ready for that type of smoke. I've always heard about the south side of Chicago. What's the west side like? Just asking for the friend. The friend is me. Miss Esquire, thank you so much for the super chat. Miss Esquire says Portia has a 2-year limited warranty on all of her relationships. The producers should have waited until they expired before booking her. Or they should have gotten it right when she got with the assignment, but she specifically left because of that. because of what was playing out. Takara, thank you so much for the super chat. Takara says, just realized that Drew and Portia have a similar storyline to Dorit and Kyle. Divorcing at the same time, one talking to the other's soon-to-be ex, fake tears and fake lives. You're right. And we weren't interested in that either. Thank you so much. Oh, Takara, thank you so much for the super chat. $20. Let me shimmy. All right. Let me bring up Lashonda. Thank you so much for another super chat. Lashonda says, no, Kempire Pisces are straight up. We don't care enough to keep secrets. Next. Okay, girl. Okay, Lashonda. And Dina, thank you so much for the super chat. Dina says, birds or pigeons of a feather flock together. All right. Let me get to the rest of these calls because we do still have a very long line of people that want to share their thoughts on this week's episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Malaysia's backstage. We're going to bring Malaysia up next. Malaysia, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire. The only thing I wanted to share was I think I was a little drunk off of Portia's peach juice. It was very surprising to see her not really take accountability for what she said. And I got secondhand embarrassment just watching her with her mom and her sister. It almost looked like a teenager justifying their wrong actions. So that was really surprising for me. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Malaysia, for calling in.
Alrighty, bye.
Damn, Malaysia sounds hurt about it too. Damn. Malaysia seems so hurt by this realization about Portia. All right. Wait, 7 says the West Side is very much white refrigerator. What? You guys are weighing in on the West Side of Chicago. I didn't know. My boyfriend is from the West. Nikki says my boyfriend is from the West Side of Chicago. Yes, they are different. Wait a minute. So, in the fact that she doesn't call it out, they should be scared. Look, they should be scared. All right, Emily's backstage. We're going to bring Emily S. up. Emily, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that the Portia talking about what she was going to do with Charles, I take that as a threat coming from Portia. I'm shaking in my little boots over here. If I were Angela, I would be shaking in my boots. Portia, and the way that she handles life, she will do that. Also, Kelly, I met her at an event a few weeks ago at a Meals on Wheels event. Super nice, super sweet. Her energy is amazing. And I think she's doing a great job. I didn't like her the first episode, but I think she's doing a great job.
Yeah, she's
That's all I wanted to say.
definitely one of the ones that have grown on me in these
Yeah.
9 episodes. Thank you so much.
She seems very genuine.
Yeah. Thanks, Kelly. I mean, Emily.
I mean, I'll take it.
Bye. And I've heard a few people have called in that have gone to different events with Kelly and they've said the same thing. I mean, I definitely think she has the possibility of growth on this show. I mean, is she loud? Yes. Okay. Sabrina's backstage. We're going to bring up Sabrina next. Sabrina, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to talk about Brit and her family because do you remember like the first time she met Kenya and everything, and then Kelly's tea party, and the way she just loses control, like out of nowhere. Her sister's the same. Did you see the episode? Her mother is the same. I feel like she don't belong on Real Housewives. She belong on Ayanla or Dr. Phil or something like that, because the whole family is like a little bit off in my like head.
Okay.
Maybe I just saw it, but I feel like they need therapy or something.
Oh.
Okay, that's my time. Calling from Norway. Good luck.
Thank you, Sabrina. Take care. Yeah. I mean, what I noticed in that scene with Portia and her family is that no one holds Portia accountable at all. King of Kings, thank you so much for the super chat. Portia is not worried about Drew and Dennis. She just scared Dennis going to air her out again while filming with Drew. I could definitely see that. It's definitely not what Portia is saying in that moment. Someone asked if I could see the super stickers. I can't technically see the super stickers on the platform, but I do have YouTube open, so I can see the super stickers on YouTube. But I can't see it on this platform. All right. Dainty Bella, thank you so much for the super chat and for being a member. Dainty Bella says, this recap has been more entertaining than the entire season of RHOA. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dainty Bella. I appreciate that. All right. Enough of that. All right, let's bring up LB next. LB, what did you want to share?
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say that as far as Shamea is concerned, I want to give her a little grace. From what I've heard, Shamea and Portia became friends because the mothers were friends, correct? So doesn't necessarily mean that they're one and the same, okay? And because of the upcoming episodes that we haven't yet seen Shamea and Portia sit down and discuss their friendship, and I think next week we're going to see Angela tell Portia, or at some point in the season, we're going to see Angela tell Portia that Shamea feels like this is a one-sided relationship. I think Shamea is in an awkward position where she probably doesn't agree with everything that her friend does and says, but she wants to be loyal to her. And of course, like everyone else is saying, she is a people pleaser, so she doesn't know how to navigate through everyone's feelings. But I do feel like Portia is going to start to wear on her.
Okay.
And she's going to make some very mature decisions regarding their relationship.
Okay. All
And
right.
the breakdown of it.
All right. Thanks, LB.
You're welcome.
Bye. Even if let's say Portia and Shamea's parents were friends, I don't remember whether or not if that's true. At what point in your big 40-something years age do you decide like, okay, that was my mom's friend, I don't need to be friends with Portia? Especially when you see how Miss Diane talked about Shamea this season. How does Shamea's mother feel about that? Just saying. All right. Let me bring up Dominique next. Dominique, what did you want to share about the Real Housewives of Atlanta?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey.
Hope you're doing good today.
I am.
I want to say once again, Angela is definitely the MVP in my book. The way how she's been working it throughout these past episodes, I love it. And from Chicago to another, I live for her. Because one thing about us is that we definitely keep it real and we say what it is. That's on our minds. And as far as Shamea, I was really rooting for Shamea, but she has disappointed me. Like, bro, like, stand up. Like, what are you doing? Trying to take up a portion knowing that she has not been a friend to you whatsoever. And this was really just disappointing me. But, I mean, I was surprised about Shamea. As far as Portia,
Okay,
I
we
don't
got to
even
stop.
know.
Dominique, your time is up.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Well, have a nice day.
Thank you. All right, because I got a long line of people backstage. I'm trying to get to everybody. All right, Princess Leia is backstage. Princess Leia, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire. This is
Hey.
my first time calling in.
Hey.
So two things. Kelly really peeved me off. Like, I was rooting for her at first because I remember her saying she's from Baltimore, and so am I. But then I looked her up. She's from Randallstown. If you know anybody from Baltimore, you know we don't claim county. So wrong for her. And she a Pisces. Don't trust them. Can't do it. And then as far as the talls I'm seeing in the chat, I'm 6'2" and I wear a size 12 as well. And I stand for Angela, loving her energy. I'm not necessarily huge fan, but I'm loving her. She gathering the girls. She doing what need to be done. So I appreciate her. And tall is obviously subjective. Sorry, because people saying they 5'8", to me, that's not tall. Obviously, I'm 6'2". I tower over you. So to each their own, but love you.
Thank you so much, Princess Leia. Take care. Bye. I think when women say that, they're 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", that is pretty tall for a woman. But I get it. When you're 6'2", it doesn't compare. For men, though, they, women and other people think that's short. 5'8", 5'9". Just saying. All right. Zakia is backstage. Zakia, are you there?
Yes, you got it right on the first try.
Yes. Look at me.
Okay, it's my first time
Exclamation
calling.
point on that.
Boo. Thank you, Miss Allie, for hooking this up because my first time calling in. Hi, Dimples. So Portia is a liability to Bravo because she lied on Candy. That lie was very egregious. She's trying to claim that Kenya is having these underage photos of Brady. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's circulating child P. That's an egregious lie. The last one is more so morally bankrupt. This whole saying stuff, I'm going to take your husband or whatever, ridiculous. If I was Angela, I would have definitely questioned who mothered you. I would have definitely questioned that. Yeah, for sure. That was crazy. And yeah, that's all. I'm a little under the weather. I'm sorry.
Feel
But
better.
yeah, thank you. They got me on a slew of medication. But again, thanks for getting my call.
Thanks for calling in. Take care.
You too.
All right. All right, we have a long line. I am going to drop the call link again because I saw a couple of people may have lost it because I saw some of y'all had called in, but it's okay. I'm going to drop it again. Again, respect the timer so that we can get to everyone. If you're just joining us, keep liking the video. It's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. And if you haven't subscribed to the Kempire podcast, you're missing out. Not only do we upload the audio for our live recaps, there's also special episodes. There's also Club Kempire, where I'm recapping and talking about different things. I'm spilling tea. So subscribe to the Kempire podcast today. And there is a free 3-day trial for the Club Kempire Apple Podcast subscription. So be sure to check that out. All right, let me bring up Stephen Thomas next. Stephen, what's going on?
Hey.
Hey.
I would just like to say real quick, there is this quote by Maya Angelou that says, when someone shows you who you are the first time, believe them. And I think that can be said for a lot of these girls on here that are really showing themselves. So if I was like Angela, I would watch out. Shamea, like with your friend, I would definitely watch out. But that's all I have to say is just be careful, ladies.
All right, Stephen, thank you so much for calling in. All right. Let me bring up Amina next. Amina, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire. How are you? I
Wow.
stopped watching in support of
Oh.
Kenya, so I'm giving my opinion based on what you have seen.
Okay.
And I don't have any sympathy for Shamea because, like you said, birds of a feather flock together. You cannot be friends with somebody for that long unless you are akin in your spirit and your soul. And I think the reason why Diane and Portia have so much venom for her is because of colorism. She's the dark-skinned she's the dark-skinned best friend. She's not supposed to have a better life than Portia's supposed to be with the good life and be the star, but now Shamea has a good husband, and now she's going to outshine her in celebrity. So the dark-skinned black best friend is not supposed to have a better life. That's why they've got so much unnecessary venom.
Ooh.
That's all.
Okay, thanks, Amina. I love when you guys call in with the perspectives. All right, Indira's backstage. I'm bringing Indira up next. Indira, what did you want to share?
Hello, Kempire. Do you remember when Portia called Kenya a slut from the 90s? Well, guess what? Portia is a slut from the 2000s. I'm sorry, Kempire.
Oh, Lord.
Because that was gross. Because if you sit there and say you're going to sleep with my husband, those are fighting words, Kempire. She will be in the pool. So, and as it pertains to Shamea, that's not your friend. I recently had to let go of a friend of 25 years because she was just not growing with me. Jealousy, all that. So, yeah, cut her off.
Okay. All right.
All right. That's my time. Have a good day.
You too. Here's the thing. I'm wondering, let's say we have a new season 17 of Real Housewives of Atlanta, and Portia and Shamea are both on it. Do you think they can navigate being both on the show and not being the friends that they once were without Shamea shucking and jiving to be Portia's lapdog again? I just don't know if Shamea can exist without being that friend to Portia anymore. It will be interesting to see. Or are they going to pretend like they're all good? Or is it going to be like a Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone? We're going to pretend like we're so cool, but we're not. I don't know. I don't know if I can see it. But you never know. Unless Portia doesn't come back. If Portia doesn't come back, it would be interesting to see Shamea as her own person on the show without Portia. I don't know. We'd have to wait and see. Let me see. All right. Let me bring up Ashley next. Ashley, what did you want to share?
Hey there, everybody. I just wanted to say, Portia and Shamea have never been friends, and Portia's been mad at Shamea ever since she didn't get invited into the dungeon and had to lie her way about being in the dungeon. Shamea was easily invited and happily invited by Todd and Candy, and Portia wasn't. And I think she's still mad about it. They've never really been friends, and they're never going to be friends, and just give it up. So instead of being mad at Miss Diane, I'm blaming Candy for it.
All right. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
Wow, now she just dropped it. Does it? Boom. Okay. She's blaming Candy for it. Damn. All right. Mahala is backstage. Mahala, what's going on?
Hi, Kempire.
Hey.
So I will say, like, this season is not terrible, but the only thing that's making this season watchable is Angela. She gives me OG Housewives energy. She's a grown woman who can handle her business. Portia is giving me Nene in her later seasons. Like, she can do no wrong. Anytime anybody has any sort of valid criticism of Portia, she just dismisses it. She couldn't even say sorry to Angela. Like, when Portia said something out of pocket. And then Phaedra, I'll just say quickly, Phaedra, not looking forward to her coming back. But that's all. Thank you, Kempire.
Thanks, Paula. All right. Or is it Mahalia? Apologies. All right. Isabel's backstage and bring Isabel up next. Isabel, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire. I'm from Montreal. I was up once before, but now again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is to say we love you in Montreal too. I just wanted to add that essentially what Angela brings is that she's not trying to be anybody else but herself. And that's why it's so refreshing, because she isn't mimicking or mocking or putting on a show like Brit. I mean, we already know she doesn't bring anything, so there's no point in like agonizing over that. But what I dislike is that Portia is closer to 50 than 30, and people still treat her like she's 15 years old. But being dumb doesn't mean you're young. I'm young. I'm not dumb. So I would say that Portia gets by. Oh, oops.
No,
sorry.
keep going. Keep going. No.
Thank you. I was just saying, Portia gets by off of the looks that she purchased and off of making it sound like she's not so intelligent, but she's actually very vile. And the way that she treats Shamea, has treated Shamea over the years, is evident. And Portia's mom is a big problem, but we can't keep blaming her mother because Portia is almost 50. She has to take accountability. She might need some, like, well, I don't know what it's called in the US, but when you get pension for being older in age, she's closer to that than being in high school. So let's not make excuses for her. That's it. Thank you. Big love from Montreal.
Thanks, Isabel. Damn, I thought Canadians were sweet. Ooh. Oh, hold on. Wait, where's the comment? Thank you so much, Joanne. Joanne says, we do love you in Montreal. All right, I need to come up to Canada. Maybe I'll go there for my birthday. Go to Canada. Right? Miss Fancy Pants says she is reading. I was like, damn, I thought Canadians were sweet. All right, all right. But as someone that is Portia's age group, watch your mouth. How dare she read us? All right, Mel's backstage. We're gonna bring Mel up next. Mel, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm bad. How are you?
I'm good. You know what? I think this is an unpopular opinion. I'm not sure how I feel about Angela because she got to the show this season. She had an issue with Shamea because she's very protective of Drew. Then Brit trusted her on a walk, told her how she felt about things. She wrote a question that got things popped off between Kenya and Brit at the table. Then she brought Drew to Portia's weekend. You know, Angela's messy. She's a messy woman. And I think the only thing that was legitimate about what happened to her during the season was them talking about her husband saying, I want to do this or that. That part I was definitely not on their side for. But they're having reactions to how messy she is. She's very messy. And listen, after she said that thing about Brit's mouth, I think if I was Brit going forward, I'll be ready and waiting about talk about her wigs, her feet, her hair, her marriage. Listen, I would it would be no holds barred on Kempire. Absolutely. But other than that, listen, I love your shirt. I love your shirt.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Come on now, turn. Look. Okay. All right.
Thanks, Mel. Bye.
All right.
All right. Let me say thank you because we had a few super chats. Guys, these recaps end up being 2+ hours every day. I'm so glad we don't have Married to Medicine to recap anymore because I much rather talk to you guys about one show and then be done with it. I will be giving you updates on the Diddy of it all. I won't promise this week just because it's jury selection this week when it comes to Diddy, but I will be following it. If there's anything pertinent or relevant to the jury selection this week, I will keep you abreast of that. But I won't be going live every day covering the Diddy of it all. There's a lot of dark energy around Diddy. And you know I'm big on energy. I got my crystals in my pocket right now. So I will give you your Diddy update because as always, I have been covering Diddy. And I did give you an update, not last week or the previous week, just in regards to what was coming up, that he was offered an appeal that he turned down. I don't know. It's 2025. DT is the president. Anything is possible. I wouldn't be shocked if Diddy gets off. But we shall see how this trial goes. Again, if you're new here, make sure you're subscribed because we don't just talk about Real Housewives here on the channel or reality television. We cover everything in pop culture, including the Beyonce of it all. So be sure to check out the Beyonce video that we posted this past weekend as well. Yesterday. Well, no, yesterday, Saturday. All right. Ebony says, great thought, Kempire. What is Shamea's identity independent of Portia? That will be interesting to see. Sean, thank you so much for the super chat. Sean says, let's not forget Portia can't take any accountability. Remember, Tamron Hall had a line of questioning and she went on a I Hate Tamron Hall tour afterwards. She did it with Wendy Williams too. And that's probably why she blocked me. All the people that I talk about all these people. Nene Leakes, I've talked about. Nene never blocked me. Portia blocked me. Again, I don't care, but I find it to be interesting. It tells you people's mind state. All right. Especially if I'm not tagging in your comment section. What's the point? Look out for Lauren. Thank you so much for another super chat. Lauren says, you have to be from Chicago to know the West Side is the dark part of the Lion King Mufasa told Simba not to go to. My bestie is from there, so when I come to Chicago, don't go to the West Side. Noted. Okay. Noted. Risa, thank you so much for the super chat. Risa says, Lord, call her, let her go. Oh, Montreal had Portia hemmed up. Okay. Ashley, thank you so much for the super chat. But what you mean free Diddy? You can't be serious, Ashley. Really? Okay, but I'm fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Alicia, thank you so much for the super sticker. We appreciate your support as well. Dr. Diligent said Money Long had the nerve to block me on TikTok. Ma'am, goodbye. Why did she block you, Miss Dr. Diligent? Oh, that's interesting. And she has a funny sense of humor, so I'm surprised. All right, Chrissy's backstage. I'm going to bring Chrissy up next. Chrissy, what did you want to share?
Can you hear me, Kempire?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So I just want to say, people think Angela is older because of the women that's in her age group, how they act on the show. They're all immature. The women in their 40s, they're all immature. And so I wish that when Angela called Brit a whore, she should have turned to Portia and called her a whore too, because Portia was like, whore? Girl, you too. And then Kelly was sitting there adding her little input, like, girl, you have a toad for a husband that done robbed you blind. Okay? And then, and I just want to also add to that Brit and her little mismatched teeth. The reason why everybody is confused about what's going on with her mouth, you got veneers on the top and normal teeth at the bottom. That's why she looks crazy with her mouth. That's the problem with her mouth, you guys. She has veneers on the top, normal teeth at the bottom. That's all I have to add, Kempire.
It's not white, but I'm waving the white flags.
Bye, Kempire.
Bye, Chrissy. Damn. Not a toad of a husband. I mean, you've seen the pictures, right? All right. Damn. Y'all are on fire tonight. Oh, today, this afternoon. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let me bring up Zena next. Zena, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kemp. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey there. I'm so happy to be back. I took a small little break from podcasts and things like that, but I was still always watching, hadn't called in. So I'm so happy to be back on your show.
Thank you, Zena.
Absolutely love you. I just want to say your callers are absolutely on fire today, even in the comments. I don't give a doggone what Shamea say. I don't give a doggone what Keela say. I don't give a doggone what Brit say. Every single last one of you ladies were and or are married. For you to sit there in that pool and think it's okay for another young lady to say she will have sex with somebody's husband, it's unacceptable. I will never look at those ladies the same. And I just got to be honest, Brit and Portia specifically, they're making it a little bit hard for me to enjoy the show, just to be honest with you. For Portia to sit there and really not actually be remorseful, it was disgusting. And we're not going to act like she already been accused of sleeping with people's husbands well before Fallon.
Oh, well.
Let's not play games. It's been said at the reunion. It's been said by Kenya. It's been said by Claudia. It's been confirmed already by several other ladies. She's been messing with people's husbands for a while. Anything that comes to Portia, she deserves it. And those ladies are dead tail wrong for sitting there kikiing and laughing. And Shamea sat there in Angela's face and said it was a kiki. Honey, I could have turned the TV off. I don't know if it's PTSD from myself having an unfaithful husband in the past. But you do not sit there as a married woman and think that that's okay. That's all. Sorry to go over.
And then to make excuses for it. I think that's where Shamea lost me. Shamea was like, we were kikiing.
Yeah, it was a kiki. Girl, that ain't no doggone kiki. You was wrong for that. And it just shows your character and who you really are. I wanted to like Shamea. No, ma'am. It's a no for me. Thank you, Camp.
Thanks, Zena. Take care.
Bye.
Y'all are killing me today on these phone calls. This is why I could never get rid of callers. Lord have mercy. How am I gonna do callers for I guess y'all just gonna have to come to the live audience here in New York City when we have our daytime talk show. Okay. So y'all can rip them to shreds in the audience. Okay. Maybe we'll figure it out. The new era of Kempire Daytime is coming. All right. All right. Angie's backstage. We're gonna bring Angie up next. Angela, is this you?
No, I'm not that old.
Oh
So my thing is, it is so hard to watch RHOA as an original watcher and see Portia go from Cordell is my husband to if you talk more, I'm gonna F your husband. It's really crazy and the arc is interesting. I want a psychologist to break that down. And lastly, I was about to windmill for Shamea, but I can't after the last caller. So that's it, Kempire.
Thanks, Angie. Bye. Woo! Thank you guys so much for already 1,500 likes. We have over 3,000 people here for our Real Housewives of Atlanta recap, and that's only on YouTube. We also have almost 200 of you watching on TikTok. Hey, TikTok, we have almost 400 of you watching on Twitch and Twitter. Don't forget, guys, we stream in 4K, so it's high quality over there. So if you want high quality, you want to watch it from your television, be sure to follow us on Twitch, okay? All right, right? Oh my goodness, these callers today. Shout out to our King's Guards, guys. Don't forget to say thank you to our King's Guards, because when you have this many people in a chat, it's a lot to manage. Shout out to our King's Guards on TikTok as well. We appreciate them. All right. Let's round out with our last caller, Miss Ray Bay. Miss Ray Bay, what did you want to share about Real Housewives of Atlanta?
Hey, first of all, I love you real bad. Just want to say that. I've been
Thank
a
you.
fan since day one.
Thank
So
you.
I just want to say that you're welcome. Portia is trash, has always been trash. Shamea is a dingbat. She's just a pretty dingbat with a rich husband.
Oh.
And I don't know why Shamea acts so surprised and hurt. You have a trash best friend. Anybody who would put their friend Candy on blast for grape and also believe Phaedra, who is a fraud, you're not a good person. Your friend has never had good character. So why do you think she would be a good friend to you? You're a dummy, in Monique's voice. You are a dummy. Period. And I said what I said. Portia is pretty. She has pretty privilege, but she has a nasty spirit and bad character. Okay. And she has a high booty. And I said what I said. Bye.
We never have that conversation about pretty privilege. We need to one day have a conversation about pretty privilege, because I see it happen all the time. I think people make excuses for people that are good looking. They hype them up like they're more intelligent or more funny or more interesting than they actually are. They make them get away with a lot more. There's a larger conversation for us to talk about pretty privilege, and I definitely see that happening with a lot of the reality TV folks that we talk about, specifically with Portia. But yeah, damn, y'all are reading people down today. I appreciate it. Ebony says Angela is from Harvey, and people from South Side of Chicago don't even want the smoke with West Side people. Harvey. See, this is how I learned. This is why traveling, even though we're not traveling right now, this is why traveling is so important. Wow, but I'm not traveling to West Side because y'all tell me it's rough. Okay. I want to come to Chicago, but I'm not going to the West Side. What? And mind you, again, I said it's important to notice that we don't hear Angela as a threat. Like she mentions she's from Chicago, but she doesn't use it as a threat to anyone. And those are the people that you should be concerned about, that don't use like, oh, you know, people say, I'm from Detroit or I'm from Chicago. You see Drew saying, I'm from Chicago, but I don't think Drew can fight. Okay. But Angela never says that as a threat. So that makes me a little more concerned. Oh, see, on TikTok, Mama D says, West Side of Chicago ain't no joke. I always thought it was the South Side that was no joke, but I guess the West Side is the real no joke. Wow. Alicia, thank you for the super chat. Alicia says, hey, Kempire, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you. Have you seen Kelly's old face? Color Me Pink did a full video, and I was shocked at her befores. I saw on... I think it was on Instagram where they showed a before and after. Because, you know, there's little Instagram accounts that show before and afters for people that get a lot of work done. Yeah, I felt like the before of Kelly looked better than what we get of her now. I don't think what we get of her now is bad. But again, your body, your choice. When you go on reality television, people are going to comment. But yeah, I feel like her before are a lot cuter than what we're getting now. But again... There's a lot of plastic surgery on this season that's like, Bo, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate your support. And thank you guys so much for almost 1,600 likes. But we have 3,000 of you watching our Real Housewives of Atlanta recap. I want to thank all of the callers for calling in. I want to thank our channel members for keeping the lights on here in the studio and for allowing us to continue to elevate what we do here behind the scenes. Like for me to get a new wire to fix whatever's going on with this camera. It's y'all. It's y'all support, your monthly support. Become a member today at TheKempire.com/join. Thank you to everyone that has supported our new sponsorship with our friends over at Rose Forever. Don't forget, you still have time to get something for yourself or for someone you love. Roses that will last you at least a year. These are my new roses. Look at that. Look how gorgeous these are. And they smell delicious. At least a year. Okay? So be sure to check them out. Kempire 20 MD for Mother's Day will be available in the description. Go get you something today. You still have enough time. Mother's Day is on Sunday, but so is Kempire's birthday. Okay. Hold on. All right. Anyway. And of course, cameos. If you want a Mother's Day wish from me, if you want a birthday's wish, there is a sale going on now from our friends over at Cameo. More information will be available in the description. Shout out to everyone watching on Facebook. I see you guys as well. Brandy, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Brandy says, after Angela gathered Brit was ready to go get her pistol and whip again. But then she remembered that's how she got her mouth exposed in the first. I mean, she's definitely on thin ice with the network, Brit. Brit doesn't have the capacity to come for an Angela. She thought she did. She's like, maybe if you used your mouth more. And I was like, oh, okay, Brit, I see you. And then Angela was just like, girl, your mouth's got stretch marks. You're a whore. I was like, oh, damn. I was like, all right, Angela. I'm not coming. Look, I'm not coming for you. And I also think they don't realize, because now they realize, because, no matter how much they want to block me and act like they don't watch the content, I know production watches the content and tells these folks to watch my content. Production, I've been told. Juliet says, thanks for playing Dr. G. You know what, Juliet? I'm not playing it anymore. Okay, I'm not playing it anymore. BK Beauty, thank you so much for the gifts on TikTok. I appreciate everyone on TikTok as well. Keep tapping your screens. Let's get to 50,000 likes, TikTok. What else? Classy says, we're now in the suburbs. What? Hold on. Isabel says, stretch mark mouth is going in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to her. It was a good one. Not Hose Rise. Come on. Y'all are a mess. Okay. All right. Thank you all for being here. I hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon, your day. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications. We will be covering the Diddy case. Again, I'm not going to be covering it every day unless there's something pertinent to cover and talk about. Today starts the jury selection for Diddy's trial, his federal trial, not his civil lawsuits. His federal trial starts today. So jury selection starts today. Already started. And tonight, this afternoon, this evening is the Met Gala. Tomorrow, I am planning a big Met Gala extravaganza. Okay, because I normally am traveling for my birthday, so I'm normally not here for the Met, but I'm so excited for Black dandyism to be celebrated. I'm excited to see the fashions tonight. So tomorrow I will be going live, breaking down the fashions, the history, all of that, best dress, worst dress, all of that. So stay tuned. Again, make sure your notifications are on, make sure you're subscribed. This is for those of you, that 20-something% of you that are not subscribed, but are watching the content. Yeah, 20-something%, 60-something% of y'all are watching it though. Come on now. So I appreciate that. So get subscribed so you don't miss out on anything, especially when we have breaking news, especially when we're covering this Diddy of it all. Thank you all for the birthday wishes. I appreciate that. I'm just so grateful to be 44. There we go. I'm going to be 44. Yeah. I started doing a Brit. But I ain't got no stretch marks on this mouth. Sadly. All right, y'all. I hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. Bye, y'all. Here we go now.